Watch Eyewitness News from any device with Eyewitness News Livestream. Sponsored by the law firm of Bogan, Munz & Munz. No gimmicks, just results.
Central Florida's chief meteorologist, Tom Terry, only on Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Right now on Eyewitness News at 1 o'clock, Hurricane Milton has passed, claiming lives and changing our community for good. Now this afternoon, Central Florida is picking up the pieces.
We have a full team assembled across the region as we make our way through the aftermath.
All this, we did see an emergency vehicle from Seminole County Fire Rescue, one of the high water vehicles, come in through here.
And that's when she started screaming. She was all very distraught, obviously.
Down fences, some down signs, some roof damage as well. This is what stopped us on our drive here.
We're out across Central Florida this afternoon as our community comes together in the recovery and the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Good afternoon. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Kirsten Delgado. Let's check in on the coast here with Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb live for us in Volusia County.
Yeah, she's been out in Volusia County looking at the situation in Daytona Beach. And Ashlyn, right now there is going to be a new curfew put into place tonight.
Yeah, and you can see as Milton moves deeper and deeper into the Atlantic how the waves are just picking up here. I want to show you the pier. The waves are just crushing up against the front of it. We have seen some of those go over top of the pier. Just absolutely gigantic waves. Some of these waves just, battering the pier. We can see down closer to the base of the pier, some boards missing on the exterior. But from where we're standing right now, it looks like the bones of the pier is still standing. I don't know about the support beams exactly, but for the most part, it looks like it did survive, as well as Krabby Joe's that just reopened about a month or so ago. It was closed, since 2022 because part of it was swept into the ocean during Ian. Luckily, from where we're standing, it looks to be okay. But like I was saying, things are really picking up here. We are expecting high tide very soon at about 1:50. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is estimating high tide will reach 4¼ feet. You can see just how far the ocean shores are reaching the seawall. We also just pulled recent numbers from the 20 feet buoy off the coast. It's measuring about 11 feet waves. Usually out there, it could be about 3 feet. We're also seeing wind gusts reach about 25 miles per hour. That's based on the reading at Daytona Beach International Airport. But it is a lot better, at least from what we were seeing last night into this morning, those 70, 80 mile per hour winds. But the conditions are changing here as we get closer and closer to high tide. We are keeping an eye on storm surge, also flooding as we get closer to high tide. But for now, reporting in Daytona Beach, Ashlyn Webb, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And Ashlyn, really quick before we let you go, those bridges are still closed in Volusia County, right? We know they reopened in Tampa, but the bridges in Volusia still closed this afternoon.
Yes, the bridges are still closed. It closed yesterday at 9:30, so no access to the barrier island. They are wanting people, even though the curfew was lifted earlier this morning, for people to stay off of the roads. Just driving around town today, there is a lot of debris out there. There's flooding, and as you can tell, the conditions still are not great. Trees can still fall, and especially with the ground as saturated as it is, no telling what could happen with down trees and down power lines. So we're going to toss it back to you guys.
Yeah, Ashlyn, thank you. And that's why the sheriff put another curfew in effect for tonight. It goes into place at 9 tonight and lifts tomorrow, Friday morning at 5.
And when he put that announcement online, we actually brought it to you live here in an interview we had with the sheriff live. But when he put the announcement online, he actually put the photo of a washed out road there in Orange City, just as a descriptor, right? To illustrate, listen, we're not punishing you and making you be indoors by 9 p.m. We need you to stay out of our way so we can fix these areas. Not that you're going to fix a washed out road overnight, but at least set a perimeter, get a detour so you can get around safely. The issue is your safety, not a punishment and be indoors by 9 p.m. because you've done something wrong. They want to make sure that you don't actually get in their way and hurt yourself in the process.
And those crews are out and about across the entirety of Central Florida. We get you now to our Giovanni Diaz, who joins us live in Cocoa Beach in Brevard County. And Gio, you're with someone now who's assessing the damage.
That's right, you guys. Kirsten, you just said Central Florida is picking up the pieces, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Folks are literally picking up the pieces of what's left behind after the Hurricane Milton passed through Central Florida. We are right now on South Banana River Boulevard. A tornado touched down not far from where we are. In fact, it actually passed through this area, according to the reports from neighbors that I've been speaking with here since we arrived. It's much calmer now. You can see the damage here. I want you to pay attention to the trees. If you look at them, they're shredded apart. There's nothing there left. You see those palm trees here all gone. Over there, you can see the damage just keeps going here. There were two fire trucks here with the city of Cocoa Beach earlier today. They just left. And yes, I am here with a person who was actually home when this whole thing happened. His name is Ron, and he's right here with me. Ron, thank you so much for talking with us. You were telling me you got quite scared when this whole thing went down here yesterday.
Oh, it was unbelievably scary. We actually spent a lot of time getting prepared for the storm. Mm-hmm. And so we felt pretty comfortable. We invested a lot of money in storm windows and high-impact windows and doors and all that. Yeah. So it was really rolling pretty easily. And then we got the first warning for a tornado. And my wife said, let's go. So we got our two little dogs and got in the front closet. But things kind of calmed down a little bit. So we went back to the dining room table. Mm-hmm. And then there was a second tornado alert warning. Mm-hmm. So by the time we got off the chairs and started heading to the front of the house, we could hear the wind in the chimney just explode. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I've never, ever heard a tornado roar. And it came, and it was like really, really scary. Yeah. And by the time we got to the closet and sat down in it, it was all over. I was like in a flash. Mm-hmm. And we're going, what was that? Mm-hmm. I mean, what the hell happened? And then we looked outside, and it was all this damage.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What went through your mind? You told me that this part here of your home had been just rebuilt not long ago, and now it's just gone again.
Oh, we spent a lot of time on our landscaping and renovating the house.
This way so you can take
a look. Sure.
Keep going. You're saying you spend a lot of money here. This is what's left behind now.
Yeah, this was a gigantic Hawaiian tree that produces the leis, that they do the flowers for the leis. We lost a big oak tree over there. Big branches of this oak came down. Yeah. And I forgot, Alaria, I think is the name of the tree. It looks like a gigantic bonsai tree. Yeah. Was sitting right here. Our yard was gorgeous. We had two big cement lions, Siegfried and Roy.
And they moved from the
they just brought up that one. That was sitting on the ground. Yeah. And I guess our crew here just came and
look here, this was ripped from the root here.
Yeah, it came. Yeah. Oh, this one too. Right from pulled it right over. Oh, wow. And this was even staked out from the damage from the last hurricane.
Wow. So last hurricane, you say Helene, just a couple weeks ago?
No, the one about a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Last September.
Oh, okay. And now you have some folks here already working on the repairs of your home here. This is going to be costly, huh?
Yeah, we're probably it's going to cost us about $1,000. So my wife found them online this morning at 4 o'clock. Obviously, they were asking for people that needed help. Yeah. We had talked to our landscapers last night, but they didn't know when they were going to get here. And this was a complete mess. There was no way we could let it sit like this. So obviously, you're seeing what's going on in the neighborhood.
Ron, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad your family's okay. Thank you for talking with us.
I hope this is good.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, about 110,000 people are still without power here in Brevard County, according to the last time I checked here. We're going to keep talking to residents here. I see some damage across the street. I'm going to go over there and try to talk to some neighbors there, and I'll have an update for you very soon. For now, reporting live in Brevard County, I'm Giovanni Diaz, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Gio, thank you. We're glad he's okay. His family's okay. Landscaping and buildings, of course, already can be replaced.
For sure. Now let's get you to Lake County. The city of Mount Dora is working right now to clean up significant damage and to work to restore power. Our Channel 9 anchor, Darlene Jones, has pictures to share with us. Darlene?
Right now, about 40% of Mount Dora is without power. A spokesperson just told me crews are now working on restoration with the help of crews from Kentucky, Alachua and Stark counties, along with crews from Georgia. But take a look at this here. You can see, actually, this this is not the right information here, but we can show you some roads have been washed out across Central Florida. Yeah, here's the photo here from Mount Dora. One completely washed out. Britt Road near Future Farm Road there in the Lake County area. You can see some trees down here along the area. This tree completely shutting down a road there in the city of Mount Dora. Here are some of those utility crews there working right now to try to get that power restored. Again, about 41% without power compared to about half of the city that was without power as this storm damage initially came through earlier today. We'll continue to get you some more photos and videos. For now, reporting live in the studio, Darlene Jones, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Darlene, thank you. We know our local theme park should reopen soon.
Yeah, Disney says it's now preparing to reopen its theme parks, Disney Springs, and possibly some other areas tomorrow. As for Universal, Universal also plans to reopen its parks and city walks tomorrow. That also means the return of Halloween Horror Nights. SeaWorld says it will reopen its main park as well as Aquatica and Discovery Cove tomorrow. Spooktacular and Howl-O-Scream are canceled for tomorrow.
We do have drone video as well to show you out of Orange City. Let's take a look here at that now. This is actually the image that Darlene was just showing you momentarily, a moment ago, rather. You can see here that road washed out. It's really quite an incredible scene in Volusia County. It seems like this, though, why the sheriff there, Mike Chitwood, has put a curfew in place tonight, 9 until 5 tomorrow morning. It's so that they can actually assess damage like this. Obviously, you're not going to fix a washout overnight, but you can actually get out there, put some medians up, get the construction underway, and provide some detours for folks to get around it.
Yeah, this is 1792. It's South Volusia Avenue right here near Tremont Drive. This is just a massive washout right here in Orange City. It's the first washout image and report that we received early this morning, and this is now one of 3. We have this washout in Orange City, another washout on the Turnpike this afternoon. It's right in the Lake County area where that washout is, and then the third washout is in Mount Dora. So we are seeing heavy impacts along our roads here in Central Florida, and crews are heading this way to start fixing this up. We have some new aerials as well out of Palm Beach County.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those now. You can see here all the destruction. It's so incredible to see all the images coming across the state. It looks like a tornado caused this damage. And we always talk about what was the big factor with each storm, right? We have wind, we have rain. It appears the biggest factor for a lot of the state with the storm was the tornadoes that caused by Hurricane Milton. It's really incredible to see the damage.
Yeah, we have at least at this point 5 deaths reported from a tornado in St. Lucie County. The governor spoke of that earlier. And then we do know of 1 death in our area in Ormond Beach after a tree fell on a home. So, Cassie, this is something that we were expecting, the tornado threat, because it was such a significant spread of these tornado warnings yesterday.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see the damage. And we're now in recovery mode here. We're starting to see a lot of things reopen. Orlando International will be operational tomorrow. We have a lot of different recovery efforts underway. City of Melbourne will resume regular operations tomorrow. Flagler schools will be back Monday in Winter Park. City Hall will reopen tomorrow, but their parks and recreation will actually be closed until further notice. Brevard schools back on Monday, closed tomorrow. And so you're beginning to see the recovery efforts underway, but also okay, we can start opening and getting back to some normalcy underway. Again, the biggest one coming out, of course, Orlando Sanford International Airport having its operations resume tomorrow.
Yeah, Orlando International still evaluating, so we could see a decision there in the next few hours, Cassie.
Yeah, and we're going to start to see some changes, some improvement when we talk about our weather. You can see that Hurricane Milton's still a hurricane off our East Coast, that latest track. You can see continuing to make its way east out into the Atlantic, where it will become essentially a remnant and kind of get absorbed by a front. But as it pulls away, we still have some conditions here that we are going to be watching, some breezy weather. I do want to show you the loop of the satellite imagery and radar imagery still of this. You can see some of those scattered showers still brushing our shoreline. Very interesting. I want to go back 24 hours. So for those of you who slept through it and didn't see it, you can see the full progression of this storm system make landfall and slide right across central Florida as we go through the overnight. And here it is, just as we forecasted, kind of the south side of that storm system would lack a lot of the rainfall. Heavy rain that went right across the I-4 corridor, and then it started to move off our coastline early this morning. And that's where we stand now, getting a little bit of that rainfall still at our beaches. Now, we do still have tropical storm warnings in place up and down our coastline. Volusia, Flagler, Brevard counties. Inland, no more tropical advisories, but we do have wind advisories that are issued. This is going to go until 8 o'clock tonight because we could still get some of those wind gusts, 30, 35, 40, even 45 miles per hour. Some of the latest numbers that we're tracking, again, these are the last wind gusts recorded at these sites. 37 up in Daytona Beach, and that's inland a little bit at the airport. So a little bit closer to the shoreline, we're going to see probably some of those stronger wind gusts. Also something to note, high tide, it is approaching that hour. So we're going to see some significant impacts as we get into that high tide time. Through the remainder of this afternoon, quite breezy to gusty. Again, you can see the strongest winds occurring as we get over towards the coast. By tonight and really into tomorrow, it really just turns into a steady breezy day. Actually, some pretty decent weather will be upon us. But as we look through the rest of the afternoon, a lot of us, again, starting to kind of emerge and check around not just our property, but our neighbors, making sure our friends, our family are safe. Cloudy skies, temperatures staying in the 70s. We'll watch a couple of those isolated showers and, again, some of those breezier conditions. But the rainfall was huge. I want to show you some of the numbers that we have. You can just look at the map, the 48-hour total. When we showed you that 24-hour loop of Milton gliding right across central Florida, but putting the heaviest rain right on the north side of that system, these totals in the purple and the whites and the grays, that's anywhere from 12 to 15 inches in a lot of spots. We've gotten a couple of locations that actually got more than that. You can see this list of some of the biggest numbers. The front runner up in Volusia County, Ormond Beach, 22 plus inches of rain fell there. At Lake Helen, more than 15 inches. In Apopka, more than 15 inches as well. You can see in Claremont about 13 plus inches of rainfall. A whole nother slide. We have so many communities that got more than 10 inches of rain that we have to put it on too. You can see near Hollywood Studios, just under 13 inches near Lake Mary in Oakland, about 11.25 to about almost 12 inches of rainfall. So there was a lot. This is going to put stressors on a lot of our local creeks and rivers. We've been talking a lot about the Little Wekiva, a lot about the St. John River, and how we're going to see kind of that delayed impact in some of those locations. And we'll continue to monitor that. I'm going to show you some of those levels. And we'll have that coming up in just about 30. Alexa and Kirsten.
All of those rain totals, of course, led to extensive flooding in some parts of our community.
Let's get over to Channel 9's Jeff Deal, who's been riding in a canoe in a neighborhood stuck in floodwaters in Altamont Springs.
Yeah, we're out here on Little Wekiva Road where they did take on a lot of flooding here in this neighborhood overnight. This is a neighborhood that is known to flood. We were out here in 2017 during Hurricane Irma, and that's when neighbors tell us the first time they ever had flooding from the Little Wekiva River, which runs directly behind the homes that you're looking at now. And you can see these homes are surrounded by water. There are some of the homes that have taken on water. We spoke with a son of one of the homeowners, and he came out here to survey the damage a little while ago, and he said he believes one of the homes that they have on this street took on maybe 3 or 4 inches, and another one took on a couple more inches than that. So they do have water inside some of the homes. One of those homes that took on most of the water there when we were here in 2017 had anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of water inside. In the days after that, they had mold and mildew. It was a big mess for them to clean up. They also had flooding 2 years ago during Hurricane Ian out here. So folks who live here were prepared for this. They spent days putting out sandbags and tarps and things like that, trying to protect their homes. And most of the folks that we spoke with, at least that were living along this street in houses where they knew they were going to get flooding, did get out of the neighborhood. One of the gentlemen said they actually bought an RV this time around so that they could take it to Georgia and stay there for a little while. And then if they do have to come back, they won't have to pay for a hotel like they did in previous storms. So quite a mess out here. We did see an emergency vehicle from Seminole County Fire Rescue. It was one of the high water vehicles that cruised through here. when we were here, at least, we did not see them pick anyone up. So we don't believe that they had to rescue anyone out of these homes this time around. Back in 2017, the first time the neighbors said they had major flooding, several people stayed in here, and there was also more water then, and so they had to be rescued, and the rescue crews were going around trying to convince people to leave, and some people still didn't even want to leave back then, so the rescue crews were painting numbers on the sides of the home just to indicate how many people were still inside those homes in case they had to come back out here and rescue them. But it seems like with more and more of these storms coming through here and flooding in the neighborhood, the folks who knew they had to get out, again, did get out and were not stuck in there. We did see some folks who were still in their homes, but they had their homes surrounded by sandbags. And the one home where we saw the people looking out the window in some of these homes that are right along this heavy flood-prone area, were just looking at us. It didn't appear that they had water inside the home unless they had water coming in from their backyard that we couldn't see. But quite a mess. They are going to have to do a lot of cleanup out here. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days if more water from the Little Wekiva River continues to pour into this neighborhood, or if it ends up draining faster. I remember last time it did stick around for a little while, so it didn't seem like it drained very much then. But we'll keep on top of this, and I'm sure the neighbors here will be looking at it as well, and we'll let you know what we see. For now, reporting live from Altamont Springs, Jeff Deal, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Jeff, thank you. We want to take you now to Wilbur by the Sea. This is some new video coming in. This actually stopped crews from moving in this area. You can see right here all the debris covering the road. They can't get through. It's impassable. There are scenes like this across Central Florida, down power lines, roofing materials scattered to the roads. You can see what damage wind and rain did here in Volusia County. This is why it's so important to remain inside today if you can. Again, a curfew will be in effect later tonight, Kirsten, in Volusia County.
9 p.m. to 5 a.m. for scenes just like that, because they need time to get out there, clean it up, remove it, and make sure that you're safe to get out there. So with that, it is 1:21. We'll be right back with more aftermath of Hurricane Milton here on Channel 9.
Approaching 1:30 on this Thursday afternoon as we are now in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Kirsten Delgado. Channel 9 Sabrina Majori is actually live for us in Apopka. Sabrina, what do you see there?
Well, Kirsten and Alexa, we're off of Chandler Estates in Apopka, where there's actually been a water main break. Neighbors tell us this happened around 3 in the morning. You can see in the distance, Apopka police as well as crews are already here trying to fix this. Now, according to neighbors, if you look kind of down this hill here after the water main broke, it really caused a flooding issue for the basketball courts behind us here. That water was turned off earlier this morning, and we're actually here with a neighbor who actually called the police and helped kind of get this ball rolling to get this fixed today. This is Mr. Nelson Bausa. Hi, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. So you were telling me that this happened very early in the morning.
It was about 3:15 in the morning. I came out to check on the house and the area with my grandson, and we were looking at the lights, and he the one who noticed, he says, there is a big hole in the street. So we walked down there and we saw the water was pouring out. The big main is about a foot wide, and it was crumbling. All the sand, everything was washing away, and the whole backyard here and the basketball court, everything was floated. You know, the water was pouring out like a. And then around 7 o'clock, something like that, that's when they were able to, they come in here, because we tried to call, but we couldn't get hold through. But my neighbor here, Josh, he got hold of the police, and I guess they got hold of it, and they came right away, including the mayor. About 7 o'clock, they were here.
Right. So they've been trying to fix this.
Yeah, they're trying to. They've been working. They already connected it. We're going to be using the water for the next couple of days until they see there is no bacteria and all this kind of stuff. They gave us the paperwork that we have to boil the water and be sure not to use it to drink it. And they're already bringing the sand, and they're bringing all the stuff that you can see here, and they covering the whole thing up.
Right.
So far, so good. How about they're going to fix the street? That will take a little on, but at least the water is connected, and we'll just got to wait a little time,
Right.
you know, on the
And-
circumstances.
Yeah, and of course, you know, you're seeing lots of damage from Hurricane
Yeah.
Milton.
Well,
So
this-
we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for talking to us,
This
sir.
is the
We
second time
appreciate
that
it.
it happens here.
Oh,
So we told the maintenance people here, and we told also the other channel that was here before, that they're going to have to do some kind of a retaining wall.
there's going to need
Here.
to be some work.
So some kind of work have to be done because this is the second time happened. Not
Yeah.
the first time wasn't as bad as this.
Yes, yeah.
But it can happen again.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you so much
Okay,
for talking
sure,
to us, sir.
anytime.
And that is the latest for us here in Apopka. Crews on the scene trying to get this fixed for our neighbors. We'll keep you posted. But for now, reporting live in Apopka, I'm Sabrina Majori, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
We'll be right back. Welcome back as we start covering the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Communities now dealing with the damages. Thank you for being with us through our continuous coverage. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Kirsten Delgado. We do have a devastation across Central Florida, and Channel 9's Melanie Holt is in Melbourne Beach.
I'm here down in Melbourne Beach just to give all of you a look at the current conditions out here. Take a look. You can see that we still have some pretty rough surf. And down there, some definite signs of erosion where you see kind of that very clean and sharp drop off there. But this is to be expected with a hurricane with the strength, obviously, of Milton, especially as it was exiting Brevard County. I can tell you I had a chance to reach out to the county's beach management director here in Brevard County, and he tells me for the most part the county's beaches have fared pretty well, just as they did after Hurricane Helene. They've done what they were supposed to do. And this area of the county, these beaches are among the most narrow, but we should still see some natural recovery in this area. But if you look up just ahead of us here, you can see the dunes there. And those dunes really are in pretty good shape, and that is good news. When I got a chance to reach out to the beach management director, Mike McGarry, he told me that he has walked all the stretches of beach here in the county for his preliminary assessment, but he wants to come back after high tide, which is approaching right now, and take another look at these beaches. So definitely some signs of erosion. We should see some natural recovery in this area. But again, as he said, because of the winds, even as this exits the storm and you see the surf here, we're not quite out of the woods yet. And that's the message there. Live here in Melbourne Beach, Melanie Holt, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Erosion was a big concern once again with this storm, Mel. Thank you. We take you now to Cocoa Beach in Brevard County. It's where our Giovanni Diaz has been live all morning long for us.
Yep, he is talking to victims there who are literally, quite literally, as you mentioned before, Gio, picking up the pieces right now.
Yes, they are, you guys. I told you we were on the other side of the street here, and I said I had seen some damage across the street at a home. This is what we found. Take a look here. A tree inside of a pool. This is one of the most remarkable visuals I've had since I started covering this area here since the beginning of the week. We have seen a lot of damage here, but this is definitely something that's been remarkable. See all the debris that's here left after the tornado touched down this area here yesterday. It just went through here. I showed you earlier how the trees were left absolutely shredded to pieces. Now, there was a person who was here when it all happened. His name is Alex, and I'm going to go talk to him right now. Alex, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I hear you were injured from the damage here. Walk me through what happened last night.
Yeah, so I was actually at my neighbor's house. We were having a good old Florida hurricane party. We were cooking up some dinner, making scallops, drinking wine, and my neighbor Tony's wife, Susie, said, "Hey guys, look out the window. I see some swirling going on." And then the roof flew off the house over there.
So you were inside of that room there that has no roof right now?
Yeah, we were right there in the kitchen cooking, and then the roof just disappeared.
So what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I was just like, the sky. I was like, wait, what just happened? And then the couch was flipped over. All the impact windows on the first floor were blown in off the frames.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Walk me through the damage here. Let's take a look here. Show me what we are seeing here.
We got this palm tree was in the corner of the yard, blew into the pool. This whole patio was covered with a roof that was completely taken down. That barbecue grill was up against this sign over here on the wall, and it was blown into this impact window, which luckily didn't break. And then this part of the shingled roof all was blown off, so you can actually see through the roof and parts of the house.
And you were telling me that your family basically has been here for generations. Your grandparents
my grandparents built this house in the 70s.
Please locate me. Where are we right now? This is South...
this is South Banana River Boulevard.
And what we are seeing here behind your home?
Canal, and that it leads into the Banana River.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, just decimated. The bricks blew off our chimney up there. They hit our cars, dented our cars. Luckily, no broken windows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy. This is definitely the worst I've ever seen. And I've first time having the roof blow off.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced tornadoes here in this area?
No, I mean, the one tornado that I did experience in Florida was in Cocoa. I was really small, but I remember being in school and hiding under the desks. And luckily, we didn't have any problems then, but it was pretty crazy. And luckily, we were able to get our roofer here, Phil from American Roofing. First thing, he was actually here before the firefighters. Just want to shout out Phil from American Roofing.
Hey, thank you for taking the time to speak with us, Alex. And that's it, you guys, the community here coming together. I've been seeing them trying to clean it up, picking up the pieces, and we're going to continue our job here to just keep looking around. But again, I want you to take a final look at the tree inside of the pool. Again, this is just remarkable to see, like, the intensity of this severe weather event that we experienced last night here, on top of all the other visuals we've been seeing since we started. We're talking about the super cuts that was shredded to pieces also here at the other corner of South Banana Boulevard here. This is Brevard County, you guys. This is the latest here from us. For now, reporting live in Brevard County, I'm Giovanni Diaz, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Mel and Gio have been up and down Brevard County showing us those impacts. So, Gio, thank you. A lot of people want to know if this is finally past us.
And you were saying, Cassie, you and the entire team were saying,
we're all back here chatting.
Yeah, I know. Well, you guys are working hard. It's been, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. It's been a few days, long week. I do want to ask you quickly, though, because you guys said this is going to be a wind event partially. We're concerned for trees. And even in that shot there in Cocoa Beach, tree in the pool. We've seen across Winter Park, Orange County. We've seen trees on the ground pulled from their root. And you guys warned us it was going to happen, and here it is.
You know, all of those things. We talked about the potential for tornadoes. We had all those tornado warnings, and Cocoa Beach had that tornado warning that brought a lot of damage. We had the potential hurricane force wind gusts, which we saw validate wind gusts 80, 85, even in the 90-mile-per-hour range in some of our communities. And we also anticipated the heavy rainfall, which we got as well. Many communities, 6 to 14 inches of rain. We've had a couple that actually were a little bit even higher than that. A little of a correction that I'm going to show you coming up in just a moment. But the latest advisory coming out for what is now post-tropical Milton. So this means it's losing its tropical characteristics. In the track, we saw it, it had that circle with the X. That's the indication line on it. And this is essentially just meaning it's still out there. It still has winds of 75 miles per hour, but getting kind of influenced by this front that's bringing us some pretty decent weather. And this is going to continue to move away from us. But we do still have some breezy conditions. As of right now, on the map's going to be updating. They're going to drop the tropical storm warnings for Volusia and Brevard County, leave it in place in parts of Flagler County. The rest of Central Florida, for the most part, we're going to be dealing with breezy, gusty conditions, a couple of brief showers inland, but we do have a wind advisory in place because of that. But I want to show you some of the updated rain totals, because earlier we were really emphasizing that number in Volusia County, and then we got a note from the National Weather Service saying, hey, we messed up, we made a mistake. It wasn't 22 inches up in Ormond Beach. So we wanted to take that off the list, not to give any false information there, but still look at these 6 cities and the 6 totals that we had there. Lake Helen, over 15.5 inches. inches, and Apopka over 15 inches, Claremont right at around 13 inches, DeLand 12. We continue through a few more of those cities here around Central Florida. Over a foot of rain down near Hollywood Studios at the attractions. Groveland over 11 inches of rain. Wekiva Springs 10 inches of rain. Again, a lot of locations got some very heavy rain. Now, if we talk about some of the inundation that we're going to see in our rivers, I want to talk a little bit about the St. John's. We had Jeff Deal out at the Little Wekiva up in Altamont Springs, and we can look at some of those numbers as well. But the St. John's River has a flood warning. You can see this kind of green box underneath those little bubbles. That's a flood warning. It's been in place for a while, and Astor has actually been sitting at major flood stage for quite a while. Major flood stage there is when the river levels get all the way up to 4 feet. It's been at just under 4.5 feet, and it's expected to continue to rise ever so gradually as we head towards the end of the weekend into the weekend. The record near Astor, 4.7 feet. So there's not a lot of wiggle room there. We're talking just a couple of inches away from that record level. We get down the river, you can see in DeLand, as of right now, sitting at just under 4.9 feet. Major flood stage, 5.3 feet. We expect to see us reach that by tomorrow. Sanford, major flood stage, 8 foot. We're right now just at about 5.4 feet, and we're going to see this rise all the way through the weekend. We haven't even forecasted the crest, unfortunately, in Sanford, so we're going to keep an eye on that, but expected to get above 8 feet by this weekend, or excuse me, getting closer to 8 feet as we get towards the weekend. And Lake Harney expected to reach 10 feet as early as Sunday. Right now it sits right just under 7.5 foot levels. So a lot of water going into our local rivers. As we go over towards Little Wekiva, this is just a little bit different of a look. This is coming from NOAA. And again, there's all of these little gauges on these rivers and creeks and around parts of Central Florida. Just yesterday, you can see up in Altamont Springs on the Little Wekiva, sitting right at around 24 feet. The action stage is 27.5 feet. Then we get to major flood stage. That's at 29.5. And with the rain from yesterday, you can see that huge climb. We're now sitting at about 30 feet. So above that major flood stage. That's why you can see Jeff Deal and some of these live shots out in a canoe in some of these streets up in Altamont Springs near the Little Wekiva. The record level there that we've seen at Little Wekiva, 31.1 feet. So we're going to be watching that closely. Again, the forecast has this kind of steadily declining as we go through the next couple of days, but high. River levels are going to be very high. Lots and lots of rain all the way up and down that I-4 corridor. Again, we showed you some of those weather sites that we had. Again, validating with the radar estimated rain totals, 12, 13, 14 inches of rain from this storm system. So now we're all in this cleanup mode. And we're outside dealing with some decent weather for the most part. Still quite breezy and gusty over at our coastline, but look at this hour by hour in Orlando. Mostly cloudy skies, a brief shower or two, temperatures sitting in the 70s. We take a look at some of the active wind gusts that we're currently tracking outside. In Orlando, the last recorded wind gusts at about 24 miles, and you can see many of us in that 25 to about 35 range, but again, could see 40, 45 in some communities through the afternoon. That's that wind advisory. So we're going to keep an eye on this as Milton moves away and we continue to clean up here across Central Florida and really across a big chunk of the Florida Peninsula. Kirsten and Alexa.
Cassie, thank you. We show you now Volusia County officials who are strongly encouraging the community to avoid non-essential travel. So don't be on the roads if you don't have to be. This is actually some video in Orange County. You can see right here, there was a traffic light down there. Then we have a washout in Mount Dora, another washout in Orange City. Many of the roads throughout Volusia County are cluttered with debris and obstructed here by standing water.
It's been a real issue we've seen across Central Florida since we've been on air in the aftermath portion of Hurricane Milton. We've seen it from really coast to coast with the washouts, especially with roads. We had three of them, I think, Alexa.
3 of them, yeah.
I mean, it's so strange and eerie to see literal gapes in infrastructure like that, but that's the force of this storm and how strong it was and the impacts it had in our area. And I want to get to some other recovery efforts underway. We're kind of in the get back to normalcy a bit mode, depending on where you are. There are some things underway. City of Melbourne will actually resume regular operations tomorrow for City Hall, city facilities. Flagler Going back to school on Monday for the kiddos there, and Brevard County District will actually be closed tomorrow. And then in Winter Park, City Hall there reopening tomorrow, but actually Parks and Recreation will remain closed until further notice. Probably a lot of debris that has to be removed before they can get that open. Titusville, for example, ended its emergency operations efforts about 45 minutes ago at 1 p.m. So we're getting to the point of, okay, we're seeing a little bit of normalcy starting to accumulate across our coverage area.
Yeah, and it's something that we will continue to share with you as we get all of those updates. Our reporters are out and about, spread out across Central Florida. Channel 9's Sabrina Maggiore went to Mount Dora earlier, where she saw some significant flooding in a few neighborhoods.
Significant flooding in the Wolf Branch Estates in Mount Dora. You can see behind me some of the kids in the community are having fun with this flood water here. But I want to show you the extent of this water. I mean, this water is really rushing through this community, impacting several homes in the neighborhood. You can see how this water is just flowing in from a nearby subdivision, actually, to this community here. And you can see it's also impacting several homeowners. You can see the homeowner here has about 2 inches of flood water in their home. They took precautions. They boarded up their windows. They have sandbags here, but they're still impacted by the floodwaters of Hurricane Milton. And look at the water that I'm standing in right now. You can see it's about 6 inches deep on me right here, deeper in other parts of this community as you move up that way. That is the latest here in Mount Dora. For now, I'm Sabrina Maggiore, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
We right now are taking a look at I-75, some of the traffic moving southbound. If we can show that shot we were just talking about in the control room, we are seeing some of that traffic moving southbound. It's likely a lot of people who went north making their way back down to the Tampa area, Sarasota, Bradenton. Now that the storm is past, they want to go back home and check their properties, check their communities. Again, we are seeing some miles of slowdowns this morning. You can see it here, Kirsten, through Marion Oaks, through Maricamp, Silver Spring Shores, all along I-75 near Ocala.
Yeah, a lot of red on that traffic tracker. Not a good indication of a smooth ride back home, but we do hope that everyone going back home is going home to a sturdy home. Yeah. No, minimal damage, if any at all. So with that, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back here in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton here on Channel 9.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us as our community is now in the process mode of the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Kirsten Delgado. We're seeing so many things happen on the road, people being out and about, maybe heading back home to where they came, but issues here on our highways.
Yeah, within the last minute, we watched it happen live. Road rangers moved off the roadway and reopened all lanes of the turnpike moving southbound right at US 27. You can see the backup now clearing. Earlier, all lanes of the turnpike southbound right at US 27 were closed because of flooding. Those lanes were underwater. So we are starting to see some progress. Crews are out on the roads picking up any debris, pushing off any water, and we will keep you updated as that ongoing road work continues.
Meantime, conditions are still pretty rough on the coast, so let's get over to Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb giving us an update of the water issues in Daytona Beach.
You can see as Milton moves deeper and deeper into the Atlantic, the waves are just picking up here at Daytona Beach. I want to show you guys just how gigantic these waves are. We have seen some of these go over top of the pier. I mean, it is just being battered. We can see down closer to the base of the pier, some boards missing on the exterior. But from where we're standing, it looks like the bones of the pier are still standing. I don't know about the support beams, but for the most part, it looks like it survived. And, just looking at Facebook, we've been getting a lot of questions, people asking us, well, how is Krabby Joe's doing? Well, it just reopened about a month ago. It's been closed since 2022 because part of it was swept into the ocean. Luckily, from where we're standing, it looks to be okay. But I will say things are really picking up here. We are expecting high tide at 1:50. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is estimating high tide will reach 4¼ feet. You can see just how far the ocean shores are reaching the seawall. We also just pulled recent numbers from the 20-feet buoy off the coast. It is measuring about 11 feet waves. Usually out there, it's about 3 feet. We're also seeing wind gusts reach up to 31 miles per hour from Daytona Beach International Airport. It is lower than what we saw last night into this morning, those 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts, but still we are really feeling it here on the coast. We've seen people out and about just wanting to check out the views here just to see how crazy these waves are, but really it's not safe to be out in these conditions still because the ground is saturated, because the winds are still picking up. It's still high out, the wind gusts are still high out here. I mean, it really does risk down trees and down power lines still. So they're encouraging folks, officials are, to stay home if you can. That curfew is going to be picking up at 9 p.m. tonight. So if you can stay off the roads, definitely do so first responders and officials can do their jobs. We'll continue to monitor conditions out here as high tide is approaching and continuing here at Daytona Beach. But for now, reporting in Daytona Beach, Ashland Webb, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
That curfew is so important.
Yeah.
It's not a punishment. It's just they need time to be able to clear the roads without any other people getting in their way. So if you're off the roads, it makes it easier for them to do that and makes it faster for you to get back on the road so they can do it quicker.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of flooding on the roads. Here's some footage from Drone 9 showing us Lake County. My goodness, these lanes underwater right here.
Yeah, you can see vehicles going through floodwater. It's exactly what they don't want you to be doing. This is Wolf Branch Estates and neighborhood of Sorrento, and first responders had to take an Orlando firefighter actually to the hospital here in Orange County.
He made contact with a downed power line on Janine Court. It's not far from Curry Ford. Thankfully, the firefighter is okay. First responders took him to the hospital for some evaluation. So we thank our first responders for getting out there, putting themselves in harm's way for us. Again, very thankful this firefighter is okay.
It's another reason, though, they don't want you out and about right now, right? Because you have first responders putting themselves, like you said, in harm's way to make sure this doesn't happen to you. So just help them out there. Stay off the road so they can clear these things so we can get out there eventually.
We're also getting in some new video. This is from damage and flooding following, of course, Hurricane Milton. This is in Daytona Beach. Cars are in standing water right here at this apartment complex. The building right here, the parking lot, is seeing all of that sitting water. You can see portions of that fence ripped off. A lot of those vehicles will not start, I'm sure, once that water drains.
And I know it's tough. You want to get in there and, you know, maybe you left other valuables in your car you want to get to. Don't get in that water. You don't know what's in there. You can have snakes. You can have gators. There's all sorts of
grossness,
gunky stuff you don't want to be in. Well, emergency response teams are out and about this afternoon too, looking to help those in need. This is in video from a viewer. You can see FWC moving through a flooded street in Daytona Beach. This is on an airboat here. They're taking every means possible to help those in need. If you're out there, if you're listening to us right now because you don't have power, be mindful that if you're in a position where you need help, they're on the way. We've been seeing it all morning long, even before the sunrise. As soon as it was safe to get out there and those winds were calm enough, first responders have been out for you for hours and hours. We'll be right back more with aftermath here of Hurricane Milton here on Channel 9.
Central Florida's chief meteorologist Tom Terry, only on Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Right now on Eyewitness News, Hurricane Milton has claimed at least 5 lives, and its path to destruction has stretched from Sarasota to Daytona Beach. We have a full team of reporters throughout the region updating us on the aftermath and alerting you to potential dangers still lurking.
Significant flooding in the Wolf Branch Estates in Mount Dora.
So quite a mess out here. We did see an emergency vehicle from Seminole County Fire Rescue. It was one of the high water vehicles that cruised through here.
Wells Fargo roof, about a quarter mile away, landed on their roof right there.
Communities now coming together to start that recovery. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Darlene Jones. Let's get you over to certified meteorologist Cassie Cremy and Severe Weather Center 9.
Yeah, you want to talk about communities coming together. I was watching on our outside camera, our neighbors and my husband picking up all of our branches. Sally Bryant, I saw you. Thank you for that. I'm not there. So all of the help around the neighborhood, everybody picking up the pieces this morning. But I want to take you through kind of the passing of the entire first storm. This is the passing of Milton. I rewound 24 hours. You can see that storm system making its approach, crossing over Central Florida, and it has now exited the area and is pushing off our east coast. Where we currently stand, it is now post-tropical. Wind still 75 miles per hour, and you can still see on this far western periphery, we do have some scattered showers, even still some of those gusty winds. I want to take you down, though, so you can actually see some of that rainfall. Again, it's not a whole lot. I think some communities, as we go through the day today, could pick up another quarter of an inch, half an inch over at our beaches. But areas such as Flagler County, Volusia County, Brevard County, you've been getting some of those fast-moving showers, some holding together inland, Seminole, and Orange County. You've got a couple of brief pockets of some wet weather because of that. We're also still dealing with some of those wind gusts. Take a look outside of the live numbers. These are the last recorded ones. Mid to upper 20s down in Melbourne, a 32-mile-per-hour wind gust. The tropical storm warnings that were in place for Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard, they're going to expire in Volusia and Brevard County, and the rest of Central Florida is actually in a wind advisory. Expecting to see wind gusts today, 35, 40, even 45 miles per hour. So you can see the exception, Flagler County not in this wind advisory because they're still in a tropical storm warning. Also, our far interior zones, you're far enough away from the storm system that the threat of wind gusts in that 40, 45 mile per hour range is a little bit lower. But we're really going to be tracking a whole lot of continued improvement. But boy, oh boy, was it windy last night? Was it wet last night? I want to show you some of those wind gusts that we picked up in and around parts of Central Florida. Again, this is not putting into account any of the tornadic wind gusts. The surveyors are going to be going out through the day today and tomorrow to a lot of these sites where damage was reported with those tornado warnings, and they'll be surveying the scene, letting us know what they decide, whether EF0, EF1, etc., and what type of winds impacted those locations. But we've got tropical storm, hurricane force gusts last night. You can look at 84-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Marineland. At the International Airport, 87-mile-per-hour winds, and the front runners, Playa Linda and the Kennedy Space Center, 92-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So this was a doozy of a storm for winds. It was also a doozy of a storm for rain. Taking a look at really Central Florida as a whole, there is this big swath stretching from Daytona Beach all the way down to Tampa. And as that storm system rolled through, we showed you the loop over the last 24 hours. We anticipated the south side of that storm system to kind of dry out, get some of that dry air. And really, areas in Brevard, Osceola, and parts of Polk County saw some of our lower rain totals, but a lot of Central Florida picked up the 10 to 14-inch rain totals. And you can see those numbers populating here on the screen, anywhere from 12 to 14 plus, just in some of those radar estimated rain totals. And we've been getting these numbers filtering in from the National Weather Service throughout the day. You can see over 15 inches in Apopka, in Port Orange, in Lake Helen. Casadega even had over 15 inches. I saw that at one point in one report. Then we go into Oviedo, over 13 inches of rain. Down near the attractions, some flooding there. Hollywood Studios had just under 13 inches of rain. Oakland had about 11.25 inches of rain. So there was a lot. Don't anticipate a whole lot more rain when we talk about totals today. I had mentioned in maybe another quarter to a half an inch, but we're going to be really starting to deal with not just the local pickup of the localized flash flooding and flooding we had from the heavy rain in and around some of our communities, but our local rivers and creeks are going to be swelling. We're really watching the Little Wekiva, the Little Econ, the St. John's over the next couple of days because we could have some major flooding concerns. We've had reporters in and around a lot of these locations all morning long, and we'll continue to have that for you. But we will continue to watch the aftermath now as we have some improvement. And believe it or not, the weather here locally is actually going to shape up nicely. I'll take you through some of the outlook looking forward as we're cleaning things up here across Central Florida. Darlene and Alexa.
Cassie, thank you. All hands on deck in a lot of places across Central Florida.
That's right. Let's get you to Channel 9's Giovanni Diaz.
He's in Cocoa Beach. He's been in Brevard County, across Brevard County, talking to some victims that have some damage there. Giovanni, what's the latest?
Hey, you guys, to quote my friend Cassie there, boy, oh boy, it is wet once again. We thought the rain had stopped already. We thought the worst was over. I've been seeing pictures on social media of folks in Orange County with blue skies already. It's definitely not the case here right now. It's actually much stronger now. It started very mild, misty, and then this is what we're dealing with right now. I want you to take a look at the damage left behind. I told you that this was the site that actually caught my attention when I was on the other side of the street earlier today. That piece of wood just pierced through that roof there. You see, that was a fence that was here on the side. Somehow it managed to go all the way up there, pierced through the roof. This is just to give you a perspective of how strong the winds here were. Now let's take a walk. Let's keep walking this way. The damage continues here. We continue to see what's left behind. We are on South Banana River Boulevard here in Cocoa Beach. We continue to see what's left of the trees here. The trees were shredded to pieces, branches all over the place here. This is a fence that was torn apart here. There was a gate, more pieces of wood over there. That tree cracked right in the middle, just the trunk left behind. And you just keep going. It doesn't take much. I was talking to a neighbor here earlier today, and he was telling me that this became almost like a sightseeing situation because folks are just coming around here. Because thankfully, most of Brevard County did not face a lot of damage. But this one specifically, this spot right here is actually facing a lot of damage. There is a long way to recovery here on this side of town, on this side of the county. I just took a look on the website here for power outages. They're slowly going down. I think about 110,000. That number has been fluctuating throughout the day. It started at 119, went all the way to 120, and now it's down to 110. So that means that the folks are working. They're trying to get that power restored here for the folks in Brevard County right now. There is one big alert that I want to mention to you right now that's in effect right here in Brevard County. Let me just try to open my phone here. 1 second. Hold on. We are under a flood watch right now. Also, tropical storm warning and storm surge warning as well. These are the main warnings going on here in Brevard County. We know that this community here faces a lot of flooding. We saw some flooding, but not a lot. We did see lots of damage here in this area. That was Banana River in the back there. There is a little bit of a flooding situation coming from the river, but nothing too scary. Still just very, it's just bad to see because we know that this community still has to recover from whatever is going to be next for them here. But again, the good news is that no one lost their lives. Everyone is safe and sound. Just damage to the properties here, but that's something that this community will for sure rebuild. That's the latest here in Brevard County, you guys. I'm Giovanni Diaz, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Gio. A lot of damage there.
Yeah, a lot of damage, no doubt, in Brevard County. We also saw some damage in Lake County, a road washout. It was the Turnpike, but within the last few minutes, the Turnpike did give us an update that they have repaired a good bit of it. We're seeing now a live look. This is the Turnpike southbound, right at Hancock Road. We had a massive washout overnight, and crews spent the last 4 hours starting that repair process with heavy machinery. They told us within the last 5 minutes, they've been able to reopen at least one lane, so we are seeing some progress here this morning. And Darlene, you and I sat on this desk together reporting on some of the evacuations, all the heavy traffic we saw on I-75 northbound. Well, now we flip the script, and here's some of those evacuees making their way back. This is I-4 now. They are heading back to potentially Tampa, Bradenton, moving westbound now on I-4. This is a live look right near Celebration, not far from the 429.
Yeah, they got to go and assess the damage. We now know of 2 storm-related deaths in Volusia County. One of those deaths happening in Ormond Beach, the other in Port Orange. In both cases, the person died because trees fell onto a home.
And we've also seen some deaths reported from tornadoes in St. Lucie County, so those updates continue to come in. They're sad updates, but some of the aftermath from this storm is really hard to see. We also have an update on the airports this afternoon. Orlando Sanford International Airport will now officially resume operations tomorrow. Daytona Beach International Airport also plans to reopen tomorrow, pending that post-storm inspection. Both Orlando International and Executive Airport remain closed to commercial and private operations, so we will continue to wait for that update. But a tree is blocking the part of the entrance to Terminal A and B at Orlando International, and emergency crews right now are working to remove that. The Greater Orlando Aviation Authority says they will make a determination on resuming flights once they survey damage at both airports.
I know a lot of people ready to get out of town. We're also checking every part of Central Florida in the aftermath of Milton. Let's get you to Channel 9 Brevard County reporter Melanie Holt, who's out on Melbourne Beach.
We're here in Melbourne Beach just to give you a look at some of the current conditions. If you look out here, you can still see quite a bit of rough surf, as you might imagine. And take a look right there on the edge of this beach, and you'll see some signs of erosion there, much like the county saw with Helene. But I got an opportunity to speak with the county's beach management director today, and he's already done a preliminary survey of these beaches. He tells me that overall they are in pretty good shape. They've done exactly what they are supposed to do. Take a look just up the beach here. And this is some of the most narrow beach in the county, which is why we're taking a look from up here right now. But if you look up here, you can see the dunes here for this area of Melbourne Beach. And I was told by the beach management director that there's really no sign that they have been eaten away, and that is a good thing. But he also told me, if you look out here, we are not out of the woods yet. He says that he wants to survey these beaches again after 2 p.m., after high tide has come through, to get an idea of what these beaches look like afterwards. So definitely some signs of erosion, as you would imagine, with a hurricane the size of Milton, but things looking pretty good considering some of the conditions that we saw overnight. Reporting from Melbourne Beach, Melanie Holt, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Channel 9 Shannon Butler has been checking out damage just to the south of us.
Yeah, she joins us live this afternoon from Polk County. Shannon, how are things in Polk?
Came up from Tampa, where we rode out the hurricane last night. Tampa is a mess. There are water rescues, roads flooded, trees down, a lot of structural damage in that area. But we were coming up towards Orlando now, and we wanted to stop and show you. This is what I-4 looks like right now. These are all of the evacuees that evacuated from the Bay Area, from Tampa, from St. Petersburg, from Clearwater, and even further than that. These are all the people that came to Orlando that are now trying to get back home to check on their homes. We on the other side of this on-ramp that we are on, which you can't see really well, it is a parking lot getting towards Tampa. If you see all of those brake lights, you barely see, but the roads are very busy getting out of Orlando and into Tampa. We're going to flip around here because we were actually on our way to where some water rescues are happening in Polk County now, but you can see just how many of these roads are flooded here in this area. You know, Polk County took a beating last night. There are flooded roads everywhere. We had just heard from Sheriff Grady Judd just in the last couple of hours. He is actually on a boat helping with those water rescues right now. Cars are passing through these roads, exactly what officials do not want you to do, but people are trying to get to check on their homes, to check on their loved ones. So most of the roads in this kind of area, Kathleen, North Lakeland, are experiencing some kind of flooding. Actually, all of where we have come, there have been yards that are flooded. There is some damage, but I think for Polk County, the biggest issue right now, if it's not power, it is all the water that's now on these roads. Alexa, Darlene.
Shannon, you mentioned those water rescues happening in Tampa where you rode out the storm. What was that feel like from the community? I'm sure they were desperate to get out after some of the flooding.
Yeah, you know, that area really was preparing for the worst. These folks here that are headed home knew that Tampa could be taking a major hit. Bradenton, Clearwater, St. Pete, they all knew that this was going to be bad. So many people, as you can tell, have evacuated out of that area, but there were people that weren't in those flood zones that thought their homes would be okay. They were rescuing people, some on the second floor of some apartment complexes. People just didn't expect that kind of water. What we dealt with last night, even around our hotel, we were actually surprised we could get out this morning, was that flash flooding. That was on top of what we didn't already know. We knew that we'd have storm surge. We knew that we would have a lot of rain. We knew that wind was going to do a lot of damage. I mean, we were just down the street from Tropicana Field where they lost that roof there. What we didn't expect was all of that flash flooding, and that's what happened to a lot of people, and that's why now those water rescues are happening in places like Polk County and in the Tampa area.
It seems like a lot of people, though, got out of there, so they likely won't have as many rescues as they could have if people had not listened to those warnings, right, Shannon?
Yeah, I think that this one, you guys felt a little bit different. There was a lot of fear in this storm. I was in Orlando and I was in Tampa, and all across these cities, I mean, we knew what it looked like. We knew what that radar said, and people were very, very worried. And then you had, the mayor of Tampa say, if you stay, you will die. People really listened to that. They were freaked out, and people left as soon as they can. That will be very, very helpful in this situation since people are out. But now what you're dealing with, now all of these people here along I-4 are now headed into those cities right now. So those roads there are going to be crowded. So many of those roads still shut down. Just up from our hotel, we fortunately stayed right by 275 so we could get out. But so many of the roads like Dale Mabry, Hillsborough Avenue, they're still flooded. There's water. They cannot get down those roads. So when you look at that, see, I'm going to show you what's happening here. These lanes were open on the way out of Tampa. That shoulder was open. They were allowing emergency vehicles to try to get by because the traffic is so bad. What they're not allowing people to do is to go around the process and stop here. That's why this trooper has been sitting in the median here, because this is what people have been doing since we were here. This is very dangerous. They're trying to get people to just stay in the lane. It's about patience today, folks. I mean, I know this has been a long week for everybody. Listen, I don't have power at my house. We've been up a lot of hours. It is hard on everyone, but people need patience, and this is what those troopers are there to explain to them about the art of patience right now on I-4.
Yeah, thought he could sneak and get around, didn't see that trooper around the curve. Shame on him. Next time, just sit and wait like everybody else, buddy.
Yeah, Shannon Butler for us live in Polk County. That emergency shoulder use again, not active this time around. Those tolls are still suspended. So we're watching all of our live traffic cameras of those drivers trying to make their way back to the west coast of Florida.
Our coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Milton continues just after this break.
Just a devastating, historic storm.
We had 126 tornado warnings yesterday, the most ever issued in Florida.
Before, during, and after the storm. Depend on Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Recovery efforts are underway across all of Florida following Hurricane Milton. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Darlene Jones.
We told you how Hurricane Milton damaged Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. It's something we showed you right when it happened last night.
Now we're getting a look inside. Take a look at the damage there to the stadium there over the Tampa Bay area. There is some debris on the baseball field. You can see hanging from the dome. The Major League Baseball Network shared this video. Tropicana Field is home, of course, to the Tampa Bay Rays. The facility is more than 1 million square feet, and there is a lot of cleanup ahead for those crews. I guess it's a good thing they are preparing to get a new stadium built over there.
Exactly. They said they will make the new roof able to withstand up to 140-mile-per-hour winds this next time around.
Water levels may continue to rise for days, though. Take a look at this video. We're getting into our newsroom from Clearwater. Some people need help. They're on canoes being rescued there in the water on Clearwater today. First responders are using boats to reach a number of people in that area. You can see, if you look on the left of your screen, a vehicle there, the wheels there covered. That's just how high the water is there in the area.
A new drone video is now coming out of this flooded area. This is the Maplewood Estates in Port Orange. So much water was taken on by some of these communities.
Yeah, it is really incredible to see just all of the images, because if we look outside of our homes here in Central Florida, some areas are seeing flooding, but they really have significant flooding there. More incredible video there. Usually a busy 8-lane road there in the Tampa area. You can see it now flooded just like a river. A drone flew over that area today. Hurricane Milton made landfall last night, of course, in Siesta Key, which is about 70 miles south of Tampa.
You see some cars stalled out there, so some people thought they may be able to make it through. But Cassie, we just had so much rain come down in different communities with this system. The numbers and the flooding video we're seeing aren't really surprising to you.
No, they really aren't. And if you take a look at this graphic, I've been showing this all morning long. This is the last 48 hours of rain totals. Huge numbers. We were forecasting 6 to 12. We kind of bumped it up to the potential of 8 to 14 on the north side of the storm system, and the north side of the storm system definitely delivered just that. 12, 13, 14 inches of rainfall fell with this storm system. Rain was a huge impact. Wind was a huge impact. You could see some of the peak wind gusts that we had through the overnight. Hurricane force wind gusts, 92 in Playa Linda and at the Kennedy Space Center, 87 in Daytona Beach and at the Orlando International Airport, 86 in Ponce Inlet for some of the bigger winds. And on top of that, we had so many tornado warnings statewide. This is just an interesting tidbit. 126 tornado warnings were issued yesterday for the entire state of Florida. So us here in Central Florida and down towards the south, which is record breaking for the state. This puts yesterday's activity for severe weather as number 2 on a list of the highest number of tornado warnings issued in the U.S. on a single day. There was only one other day back in history, back in 2011 in Alabama. They call it the super outbreak, and there was 134 tornado warnings issued. So falling just shy of that, but it was a very active day. Tom Terry, David Heckard were on tracking a lot of those tornado warnings. One over in Cocoa Beach, water start coming right on shore, and Tom Terry tracked it. The damage, Mel Holt was there right afterwards once it was safe to report on that damage from the tornado. So there was a lot going on yesterday with the passing of the storm, and I want to take you kind of back in time. This is going to be a loop going back over the last 24 hours of this storm system. You can see its approach to our west coast, how the south side of the storm really dried out, really limiting some of our rain totals for our southern locations, dumping rain for our northern communities, which happen to be right along the I-4 corridor and north. And now this system is continuing to make its way off our east coast. It's actually lost a lot of its tropical characteristics. You can see it now sitting as post-tropical cyclone Milton. Wind still 75 miles per hour, but continuing to move away to the east-northeast at around 21 miles per hour. So we do still have a track on this system. You can see it's expected to continue to move off towards the east as we head through the next couple of days and into the weekend. But earlier we talked about how this is going to impact and influence our weather. Locally, really not bad. It's still going to be gusty and breezy. We do have a wind advisory in place for most of our communities. At around 5 o'clock, the National Weather Service just said that they're going to allow those the tropical storm warnings over near the coast to expire. But we're still looking at wind gusts 35 to about 45 miles in some communities. And you can see the wind staying pretty strong out of the north for us. Some cloudy skies, a couple of passing showers. But take a look. I want to show you the 7-day forecast because we're going to have some huge changes as we get down the road with this. This is going to be the evening 7-day forecast. We're forecasting overnight lows in the 60s as early as tonight. And look at this. We could have a big front next week bringing us our highs in the 70s. So at least for the pickup and the cleanup, and for those who may be still listening to us on their radio powered devices with our partners over on WDBO who do not have power, you remember this happened with Ian. It kind of brought in fall for us, and that could do it again this storm.
Yeah. Not mad at that. All right, well, thank you all so much. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It is 2:30 as we continue to cover the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. I'm Alexa Lorenzo.
And I'm Darlene Jones. We have an update from
Orlando International Airport, something a lot of people we know have been waiting for. We know that domestic arrivals, a few of them, will come in tonight, but departing flights won't happen until tomorrow morning.
And they're not given an exact time.
No, they're not. So check with your airline.
Yeah, well, we want to also get you caught up with Channel 9's Jeff Deal, who's been able to give us some amazing perspective in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton.
He's in Altamont Springs for us this afternoon. Jeff, earlier you were in a canoe. Makes sense because the roads are flooded there.
Yeah, it was great because it gave us some good perspective of what was going on up and down the street. You can see all the flooding behind me as far as the eye can see down this direction. In fact, we just saw somebody ride by in a motorboat heading down that direction, and I don't even see where they ended up. It looks like they could be somewhere up around the corner over there. I don't know if they may be perhaps helping someone get some of their belongings out of this flood zone over here. But this is an area that is prone to flooding. We've been out here before. In fact, the neighbors told us the first time this ever flooded was in 2017. And the reason it's flooding is that the Little Wekiva River is just on the other side of the homes on this street, and water from that river seems to be pouring into this neighborhood and filling the streets. And you can see down this direction water almost as far as the eye can see over there until it goes into a slight incline up at the top where there are some cars parked on the other side. And you can see these homes out here. These folks put sandbags out there trying to protect their homes. We spoke with some of the residents out here yesterday, and they spent 4 days trying to shore up some of the homes in here because they knew that there was a real possibility that this neighborhood could flood. And one of the gentlemen we spoke with yesterday, his son showed up out here a little while ago to check on things, and he said that they did have a few inches of water inside one of the homes, and then their family also owns a second home, and they thought maybe 5 or 6 inches inside that second home. And that second home, we were actually there in 2017 following Hurricane Irma, and they got between 8 and 12 inches inside the home back then, and it ruined a bunch of their furniture. It ruined the walls. They basically had to do a lot of renovations inside just to make it right. Fortunately, they said that it did not have as much damage, they don't think, this time. In fact, they did put their furniture up on cinder blocks. They did not go inside to check it, but they could just look inside and see that there was some water in there. And as we were out there taking the canoe through this neighborhood, another gentleman came in with hip waders, and he walked up to his home, and we followed him up there while he looked inside, and he was fully expecting to find the home flooded, to have at least a few inches of water in there. But it turns out the job he did shoring up his home prevented water from going in there. And he was just a couple of houses down from some of the main homes that we know did take on flooding in this storm. And you can see the water flowing. This is flowing downriver, and when we're out here earlier, we could see a lot of water flowing from the Little Wekiva River out into this street. And then when we were done with the canoe that one of the neighbors let us borrow, it looked like the water may have been slowing down or perhaps even going back into the river. But right now, when I'm looking at it, it looks like water is once again pouring into this street. And that was the thing that we experienced back in 2017, was that the water stayed in this community for quite some time. So neighbors will likely have to be dealing with this for a little while longer. We don't know how long that will be. They also experienced flooding here during Ian just a couple of years ago. Neighbors told us the flooding here, at least so far, is not as bad as either one of those storms. So that is at least some good news for folks here. We're now reporting live in Altamont Springs. Jeff Deal, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
You said, Alexa just said that water's moving.
Yeah, Jeff, be careful. Thank you.
All right, we want to get you back to Channel 9's Shannon Butler, who's making her way back from the Tampa Bay area. When we saw her just about 15 minutes ago, she was in the Polk County area.
She joins us live this afternoon. And Shannon, you're in Polk County still with some of those water rescues happening.
Yeah, we were actually trying to make it to the water rescue. When we talked to you earlier, we were up on the overpass coming through the water here. We did make it through, much like these cars here. But when we stopped, we noticed all of these mobile homes here that have been underwater. And then we came back here. There's a car coming. Let me just get out of the way. But look at the animals here in Polk County, those horses in water up to, I don't know, a couple of inches. They've been standing here. We looked on the other side, and there's a bunch of, Carrie, flip over here. Look at this cow right here wading through all of that water. This is what the animals are dealing with, too. Sometimes we forget about that, but this is Polk County. There's a lot of agriculture here, and the folks here are doing the best they can. A lot of these homes are underwater. This guy right behind us here, we just missed it for you guys, but he just put his American flag up there. His home did not get flooded, but his neighbors all along this road here do have water inside their homes. Up here, just to the left, most of those homes are underwater. That's where we were headed before we stopped here just to check on these folks here. Is your house flooded? Hold on a sec. Let me walk over here where we can hear them. Which one is your house?
All the way in the back, the brick one over there.
And how much water did you get in it?
No, so far none in, but it's about like half an inch from coming in through the garage. And the whole yard has got about 18 inches of water around it.
And your neighbors here, they had water inside their homes over here?
I'm not sure. This is the first time I've come out.
Have you ever been flooded before?
No, but we're relatively new to this area, so.
Did you expect this flooding?
No. No, not at all.
What time did it start coming in?
11:45. We got the flash flood warnings, and I just so happened to go outside and check the garage, and it was just pouring in.
And that's it was the flash flooding?
Yeah, I think so. It's right around the same time as the flash flood warning, so.
And that's what people, you guys, have been dealing with all over. When we were in Tampa Bay last night, same thing. We were taking cover in our hotel, and all of a sudden the roads just started to pile up with water. It was just an added problem with this storm. You know, you had the storm surge, you had the rain, you had the wind, and now all of these folks here are dealing with this flash flooding. We know that the sheriff was out here just up the road here where we were headed. He was doing water rescues for those folks that were trapped in their home. As the water starts to recede, people will start to be able to get out. But these folks over here would not be able to drive their car out of their driveways. Now, you can see like that pickup truck there. It's up, above its, or was up above its wheels. The water's starting to come down a little bit. But this is what so many people are dealing with in all of our counties, from Tampa Bay all the way up to Daytona Beach. It has been a very difficult night, and it appears a very difficult now day for people. Alexa, Darlene.
Wow, just incredible. You see the people they're dealing with flooding, and it may not appear as significant as some of the other flooding that we've seen, but nonetheless, still some flooding and damage there in the Polk County area.
Yeah, and impacting people's lives, no doubt. Well, millions of people are getting back on the roads to head home after Milton. We know thousands made their way up into the north central Florida area, but travel is not advised just yet. We have Lieutenant Tara Krasinski from the Florida Highway Patrol on the phone with us to talk to us about those road conditions. Lieutenant, we saw earlier some traffic really building up on I-4 moving westbound in Polk County.
Correct. You're right, Alexa. We want to remind motorists, if possible, to stay off the roads. This is going to allow first responders to do their job effectively, as flooding, down power lines, and debris can make travel extremely dangerous. Although, should you need to travel today or tomorrow, they need to confirm the availability of their route by checking Florida 511.
Well, Lieutenant Krasinski, it's Darlene Jones here with Channel 9. Incredible job you all have done, and just in terms of keeping people, getting the message out for people to stay off the road. But you see people are trying to make their way home. What kind of issues are you having with letting people know? We saw a trooper earlier had to stop a driver who was trying to use that that side lane that we now know is not open anymore.
Correct, Darlene. The emergency shoulder use is no longer in effect. Everyone needs to continue to be aware of their surroundings, use the regular travel lanes. But the big thing here, especially on our interstate systems, is standing water. Some of these ramps, the entrance ramps, the exit ramps, you never want to drive through flooded water. 6 inches of water can cause your car to stall, and a foot of water can even float some vehicles. So you do not want to drive through that flooded water.
And Lieutenant, we saw a pretty big washout on the turnpike moving southbound right by Hancock Road in Lake County. What else are you all seeing on the roads? And we know crews are already out there fixing them.
Correct. That's the biggest roadway concern at the moment. The Florida Department of Transportation is repairing those southbound lanes on the Florida Turnpike in the area of mile marker 280, which is Hancock Road. That is in Lake County. Traffic's being diverted and exiting at mile marker 289, which is US 27. But besides that, for the interstate systems, a lot of the issues that we're currently navigating is the entrance ramps and exit ramps for that standing water.
Lieutenant, thank you very much. And we're thinking of you and the troopers out there continuing to keep drivers safe as we make our way through this aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Lieutenant Tara Krasinski, thank you again. We get you now over to Osceola County, where we have leaders giving us their first update of the day after Hurricane Milton.
$50,000 through this program. Loans up to $100,000 are available for agriculture, aquaculture, small businesses, and loans up to $150,000 are available for citrus and cattle operations. These loans are intended to bridge the gap between the time a disaster impacts a business and when a business has secured long-term recovery funding. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Gonzalez with the City of Kissimmee.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by Hurricane Milton and those impacted by the flooding and damages to homes and structures. Overall, I'm relieved to report that the damage in the city of Kissimmee appears to be minimal. However, this does not diminish the challenges many are facing. Let's continue to support one another as we work toward recovery. I want to take a moment to express my deep gratitude to our first responders and all personnel who have been working tirelessly before, during, and after the storm to assess the situation. We understand that this has been a challenging time for our community. If you need assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out through the appropriate channels. We are here to help. Finally, our offices and parks will be open to the public tomorrow, and all trash, recycling, and yard waste services will proceed as scheduled. Information on debris collection will be announced very soon, as we're still working on preliminary damage assessment. Thank you, and let's continue to come together as a community. I just want to add a little bit to this, and I'm amazed at how advanced we are, how we learn to work together. This is a united community, and I'm proud to say that I'm part of it, and I thank all of you, first responders, the staff, and everybody that made this possible. I say kudos to you. It looked like a monster, but came in to be a little lamb. And we thank God for that. Thank you very much, and God bless you. And I will introduce Mayor Blackwell.
I am Mayor Blackwell with the City of St. Cloud. On behalf of the City Council and our city staff, we certainly want to express our relief that the storm was not as bad in our area as it certainly could have been. Our hearts certainly go out to those in other parts of the state who were not as fortunate, who suffered severe damage and maybe even the loss of life due to tornadoes, as well as those who have been facing extreme flooding. You are certainly in our prayers. Our city was spared severe damage, as you've already heard. Roads are open. Crews are working today to clear a handful of downed trees and large branches. OUC, our utility provider, is out working diligently. They've already restored power to thousands of homes. You'll be hearing more from them in just a moment, but we're grateful for their hard work. We realize that some of our residents have suffered damage to their property, including roof and fence damage or trees down. Well, the city's working to help make recovery easier for all of our residents. We are waiving the permit fees for roof and fence replacements that are related to the damage caused by Hurricane Milton. Please don't delay, get your work done, but as quickly as possible, go online and apply for permits, and our staff will process them quickly. We also are waiving fees for bulk collection of yard debris related to Hurricane Milton. We ask residents to gather downed yard debris at your curb this weekend for collection on its normal schedule next week. We ask that you place smaller limbs and branches in your garden bin and cut larger limbs to a size of no more than 4 feet and stack them at the curb next to your green bin. Our Citizens Information and Helpline will remain open today until 8 p.m. and it will be open again tomorrow from 8 till 5 p.m. This is the number that you can call, 407-957-7161, or you can visit our website at www.stcloudfl.gov. We also encourage you to be a good Samaritan and to do what we've seen so many already doing, checking on your neighbors, and let's pull together and work and help each other make it through this cleanup. At this time, we'll ask the superintendent of Osceola Schools, Dr. Mark Shenoff, if he'll come and share.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. Schools are closed tomorrow. District offices are closed tomorrow, Friday. That has not changed. We are still assessing schools and work sites for damage. Currently, our maintenance teams are out surveying all campuses and district sites, looking specifically at damage on the exterior. We are about 90% complete. At this point, there's no major damage that will impact schools opening again next week. We have a previously scheduled professional development day for teachers on Monday. So students will not have school on Monday anyway because of a previously scheduled professional development day. But we see nothing that will impact the school district's ability to hold that professional development day on Monday. We have 5 school sites still without power: Liberty High School, Hickory Tree Elementary, Narcoossee Middle School, Horizon Middle School, Deerwood Elementary School. All shelters, as Mr. Litton alluded to, all shelters are closed. We had buses assisting with reverse shelter operations, getting individuals back to their original pickup locations out of the shelters. So I want to thank our transportation team for their assistance with that. I want to thank all of our emergency partners for their teamwork, and our SDOC team members from student nutrition, from maintenance, and our school leadership for the shelter sites, for their dedication for all of shelter operations. I had the opportunity to visit all of our shelters, and I was so heartened to see the amount of teamwork that was taking place, and also some real genuine, heartfelt interaction between those that were seeking shelter and our school staff. So I'd like to thank our heroes for that. One last thing that I want to announce to our students, our parents, and our teachers is that we will be making an adjustment to the last day of the first marking period. I've received a lot of communication about whether or not there were going to be changes with the end of the first marking period, which was supposed to be tomorrow. We will be adjusting the end of the first marking period, and we'll share more information next week after we have some discussions internally about that. It's now my pleasure to introduce Chief Deputy Dan Weiss from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Dr. Shanoff. Good afternoon, and thank everybody for being here. You know, as a result of our community coming together, this is a very positive press conference in lieu of the press conferences we've had the last couple of days where there was a lot of uncertainty. Our office has had a comprehensive response to Milton since the planning stages days ago. We have worked with our county emergency management team, the cities, and community partners in the preparation for Milton. We have been involved in meetings, resource allocation, and provided over 55 personnel in the sandbag distribution sites at Heritage Park and Celebration. For the storm activation, we activated over 492 personnel during a 24-hour period to respond to the storm. We also had over 50 apparatuses to include high water rescue vehicles, airboats, kicker boats, a Bearcat, chainsaws, drones, and that's just to name a few, that were strategically placed around the county to respond to our community when they needed it. Overnight, our agency received 540 calls into the communication center, and we responded to over 250 incidents. Most importantly, and I stress most importantly, we had no storm deaths related reported to us, which is a big win for us and the community. We provided safety and security for over 1,100 citizens across 5 different shelters in the county. We're also happy to report that we had no storm-related arrests and no curfew violations. We would like to thank the community for listening and taking the storm seriously. That was evident by the number of evacuations, shelter activity, and following our protocols during the storm. Our agency is now in the damage assessment phase and assisting with down power lines, traffic outages, and several other things that the community needs. The Sheriff's Office will be open tomorrow and fully operational in our administrative offices as well as on the streets, as we always are. We are incredibly grateful for the amazing dedicated team that we have at the Sheriff's Office, our community partners, and the community at large for coming out together during this storm. Everyone stay safe and know that your Sheriff's Office is here for you. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Tiffany Henderson from KUA. Sorry.
Thank you, Chief Deputy. KUA has approximately 93,000 customers. At the peak of the storm, KUA had 15,739 customers without power at around 4 o'clock this morning. And I'm happy to report roughly 92% of those customers are now restored, and we expect to have all customers who can safely receive power restored by the end of the day today. KUA is following its 7-step power restoration process, and we are now on step 6, repairing neighborhood tap lines. After that, we'll move on to individual customer outages. We encourage customers to follow the generator.
All right, we've been listening in to officials in Osceola County providing an update on how they are recovering in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton.
We take you now to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's live for us in Sarasota.
Manatee, Sarasota, Hillsborough counties. We saw this debris once it was clear there was going to be some type of storm this weekend. We decided to create a state support debris mission. And what we've done is we've mandated the landfills are open 24 hours. We had one county where they didn't have anyone there manning it. We opened it up forcibly, make sure that debris can be brought in. So that's Florida Department of Transportation. They've now deployed over 300 dump trucks so that work to remove debris 24/7, and they're going to continue to do it all day today and as long as they can tomorrow before we start to feel impacts from the onset of the storm. So as of this morning, Florida Department of Transportation has removed over 1,300 truckloads of debris in a little over 48 hours. That's a huge, huge amount. Now, there was issues, so the most debris was probably in the Pinellas County beaches. You also had Manatee, the barrier islands like Anna Maria, a lot of debris. That was our initial focus. Sarasota also had a lot of debris on their barrier islands, and I guess their contractor kind of left them holding the ball. So we've now surged over 100 FDOT vehicles between Manatee and Sarasota working to step in where the contractors left off. And we're going to continue doing that again all the way until it's no longer safe to do so. We've made a huge dent in this. The more debris we can get picked up, the less damage is going to happen, whether that's floating into the Gulf of Mexico, whether it's projectiles that go into other buildings. We have hundreds of state search and rescue personnel, a total of 26 teams embedded in potential impact sites along the West Coast to begin immediate rescue operations as soon as the storm passes, should the need arise. I know a lot of people have left, and hopefully there's not a need for a lot of rescues but those personnel will be there if they need. We have 5,000 National Guard that are on duty. That'll expand to 8,000 very, very soon. We have a total of 34 search and rescue aircraft. We've gotten a lot of support from other states, and we thank them from that. We have 450 tactical vehicles, including 140 high-wheeled vehicles, aerial, water, and ground National Guard search and rescue teams. This is probably the largest National Guard mobilization in advance of a storm in Florida history. We also have the Florida State Guard, 10 maritime crews, 3 high-water UTVs, 2 UH-60 Blackhawks, 4 drone teams, 15 cut and toss crews, 2 amphibious rescue crews, and almost 200 Florida State Guard soldiers. Linemen and power restoration resources are being marshaled. We now have over 43,000 linemen who are being brought in from as far away as California. So we appreciate them for power restoration. We've also assisted with the evacuation of 300 healthcare facilities in the potential path of the storm. State veteran nursing homes that are currently located in the cone are accepting families of residents to shelter with them, as they are all built to withstand Cat 5 hurricane winds, and they're outside of flood zones. Florida Disaster Fund. This was activated after Ian, Idalia, and Helene. If you want to support for Milton, go to floridadisasterfund.org. This is really, really significant way to help people. You should be executing your plan now. If you're going to get out now. You have time today. Time will be running out very shortly if you wait any longer. Of course, there's a lot of mandatory evacs that have been done. We have done the shoulders on the I-4 and the I-75. Veterans Expressway and Suncoast Parkway tolls have been waived. Those can also be used as evacuation routes. I-4 is doing a lot better today than yesterday. Still traffic, but that's it. That's the norm for that. I-75 northbound, 20 to 30% higher volumes. Alligator Alley is pretty jammed right now. We have an unprecedented effort underway. I want to thank everyone that's been involved. It's not easy, especially when you've just responded to a Category 4 storm, Helene, to have it done. I know everybody's tired. Trust me, we get it. We're wearing out the Celsius at the state EOC, but what you're doing is important. Hang in there and let's get the job done. Okay, Kevin?
Thank you, Governor, for your leadership and commitment so that we have the resources that we need to respond to this unprecedented event. The State Emergency Response Team continues to work on more than 1,000 missions that the Governor's already mentioned. We will continue to fulfill these requests 24/7 as we prepare for landfall. Once the storm has passed, we have tens of thousands of resources staged and ready to deploy to the impacted communities as soon as it's safe to do so. Life-threatening storm surge is expected along Florida's west coast. Storm surge values shown in some areas could exceed 15 feet. Counties from Levy to Collier have ordered mandatory evacuations, and I urge you to heed those warnings if you're in one of those zones. By now, I hope you know whether if you live in an evacuation zone or not. But if you do not know, please go right now to floridadisaster.org/know and find out if you live in an evacuation zone. If you are in a mobile or a manufactured home or in a low-lying flood-prone area, it is never safe to stay in that situation. No matter what year it was built, you need to evacuate. Please remember, evacuating doesn't mean driving hundreds of miles. It means just driving tens of miles to the closest friend, family, or shelter nearest you. I want to reiterate that shelters are free. Nobody is going to charge you to go to a school, stay in a shelter, even one of the state shelters that the state of Florida has opened. Shelters are free. Please make sure you bring your pets with you. The state is going to open a series of shelters to supplement county shelters Should the need arise, we will be ready to take the surge capacity. 2 of those shelters that we have already opened are Wiregrass Sports Complex in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and the Seminole Tribe Event Center in Tampa, Florida. I want to thank both of those private sector entities for their support in helping us protect Floridians. Evacuate today if you have been told to do so. If you have been asked to evacuate and you ask yourself, should I would ask you to ask the next question, is it worth the risk? As the governor said before, there are options to assist residents with evacuating. We have a shuttle system that the state of Florida provides. If you need a ride, you can certainly go to Lyft or Uber and put in Milton Relief. That's Milton Relief to get a free ride, or we'll send a bus to pick you up. That number is 1-800-729-3413. Power outages are expected with this storm. Widespread tree and foliage damage is expected with this storm. Right now is a great time to make sure all of your portable electronic devices are charged. Please make sure your supply kit has at least 7 days worth of food in it. Again, today is the day. Today is the day. Time is running out. You need to start to execute your plan. Please be sure to follow our agency on X and Instagram at FLSERT. That's at Florida CERT. And on Facebook.
All right, you are joining us live here on Channel 9. It is just about 3 o'clock here on Eyewitness News. And we're going to check into this because we believe that news conference, which we thought was live from Florida governor and some other state leaders, was live. But that may have been a replay. If you listen to some of the information, it certainly seems like it may have been a replay from something that they shared yesterday.
Yeah, some of the stuff is worth repeating, but the other things, I do know some direct quotes from Kevin Guthrie. He did say those yesterday at maybe about this very same time. So again, we're going to verify a lot of things going on. I'm Greg Wormuth along with Darlene Jones. It's our 3 o'clock hour. Tom Terry is back with us as well. And the video, as we saw first light, it is absolutely unbelievable. I just talked to Alexa on her way out of the studio, and the road washouts and the flooding and the things that we haven't seen yet. We knew it was going to be bad, but did any of us think it was going to be this bad? Maybe not.
We are getting new video into our newsroom from the Lake County area. Our Channel 9 photographer was at County Road 473 in the Leesburg area. Take a look here at a very close call. I saw these photos just a few minutes ago, and what you're about to see, here it is. 2 large trees fell just 2 hours apart. Thankfully, the trees did not crash into the homes here.
Around 2 in the morning. The wind gusts started picking up really hard, and then with all the rain we had already with that, when those gusts just got really strong, you just started hearing, along with all the power going out, some trees falling, and then next thing you know, it sounded like an earthquake, almost just a lot of rumble out front. Come look out here, it's uprooted. Didn't damage the roof, but it's a little facial damage. Same with over here, you got the roofing from a trailer down that way, blew this way. Luckily it went down in the ditch, didn't hurt anyone though, but other than that, just kept seeing some rain and it died down after that, but we lost some trees.
Yeah, thank goodness that's the only thing they lost there. But you see how large those trees are, so it gives you an idea of just how extensive the wind damage was there in the area. They're already cleaning up the mess there left behind. We also have some new video of the damage here across Central Florida.
Okay, let's take a look right now. This is in Lake County, Grand Island Shores Road, and by the title of the neighborhood, it is an island, and one tree took out 2 trucks. Darlene mentioned about how it was narrowly missing the other vehicles in the last piece of video. In this instance, that was not the case. Again, we don't know where those trees are going to fall, but most of the time when they do, we'll take a vehicle over a house. Not to make that light of that story, but there was a big house there and they fell on top of that man's truck. That happened to so many people. I was driving in. I just got back to the TV station after just a quick nap at home, and there are trees down everywhere. And I've gotten some pictures and some videos from friends, including in Altamont Springs, where we see huge oak trees that have crossed one another and left the house. So You know, sometimes they fall on the home, sometimes they don't. In that instance, they took out his trucks.
Channel 9's Jeff Deal is also monitoring the cleanup of Hurricane Milton, the aftermath, really. He's been in Seminole County, where they've had extensive flooding in the Altamont Springs area. Jeff, I know you've been making your way around there. You're now on what appears to be dry land, but there is significant flooding there.
There is a lot of flooding, and the reason I came up to the higher ground is because I wanted to show you these cars that are lining the streets on this neighborhood right here, and you can see all the cars leading down to the flooded area. And we understand that a lot of the folks who are in the area impacted by this went ahead and pulled their cars out and parked them in higher ground just in case it did flood. And you can see the city of Altamont Springs did put up this flood area ahead. They've got it blocked off for cars. They don't want folks to come out here and drive in it. But you can kind of see what the water is doing. It's flowing out here to my right. That is downriver. This is Little Wekiva Road, and directly behind the homes over here is the Little Wekiva River, and that's where all of this water appears to be coming from. When we were out here earlier, one of the neighbors let us borrow a canoe, and as we were going down the street in between some of the houses down here, we could see the water flowing from the river out into the middle of this street. And obviously you can see what it looks like all the way down this street, just like a river of water. This almost looks like a lake or a river itself, and the water continues to flow downriver towards some of the homes in the lower lying areas. And these are homes that have flooded before. I know I mentioned to you guys earlier, we were here in 2017, and neighbors told us that was the first time they ever experienced this kind of flooding, and they had water inside their homes. One home that we were in back then had anywhere from 8 to 12 inches. Their furniture was ruined. The walls inside their home was ruined. And folks who live here told us yesterday they spent 4 days trying to shore up their homes, and the son of one of the homeowners came over here and told us that they went over there and checked, and they still, after all of those preparations, still got water inside their home. And we did stop when we saw someone walking through in hip waders going to their home earlier. They had also spent a day prepping their home. They were slightly higher, but the water was up above their door. But whatever precautions they took to try to shore up their home actually worked. They were able to keep the water out of their home. So that is one success story that we've seen out here so far. And I don't know if you can see down the street the flashing lights. There's a car that's partially submerged. We went by there earlier in the canoe, and the water did not seem to be that high. It seems like the water has risen, and while we were here earlier, the alarm started going off on that car. Now, we have seen also an emergency vehicle, high water rescue vehicle, plow through here earlier, checking on folks. We did not see them pull anyone out of the home, which was different than what we saw 7 years ago following Hurricane Irma, where they were pulling people from these homes, and even people that wanted to stay in their homes. The emergency crews were going through with paint and marking numbers on the sides of their homes so they could mark how many people were still inside those homes. This time we did not see that at all. We have seen some folks go through here with canoes and even one motorboat heading up this direction a little while ago. We believe they may be going up there to help someone else bring some of their belongings or perhaps some people out of their homes. The good news is folks are telling us that even though the water is extremely high, it's not as bad as it was during Hurricane Ian 2 years ago, and again Hurricane Irma from 2017. So this is something we're going to continue to watch. We have seen water continuing to pour from the Little Wekiva River this afternoon, but we imagine that it probably will be here for quite some time. Reporting live in Altamont Springs, Jeff Deal, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And you see that water moving quickly. Earlier today, we heard the Emergency Operations Director, Alan Harris, talking about how that flooding was going to continue because of the river there rising. So certainly going to be a problem there for them in the coming days and maybe even weeks, Greg.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, Jeff. That's not rain, that's the river. That's what happens in that area, and these people have been through it before. I'm not going to say that that's better than it's been in the past, but I do know that one of the most recent storms in 2017 in Irma, they were actually doing rescues out of there with the high water rescue vehicles. And the quote of the day so far, and again, if you've been impacted, this is not to make light of it, not the worst case scenario. Those are the words from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Let's see if we can make confirmation of that in Daytona Beach Shores. That area absolutely peppered during Ian and Nicole.
Let's check in with Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb. She's live there on Daytona Beach Shores. Ashlyn, what kind of damage are you seeing there and perhaps flooding?
We are seeing a lot of damage right now on Daytona Beach Shores. I'm off of A1A. I just put my safety glasses on because still the wind has picked up and pieces of debris off of what you see behind me, what is left behind. It used to be a gas station. You can see above me the roof of it torn off in parts. Things are hanging, wires are hanging. You can see also the window has been blown out to the gas station. You can see a cabinet that's left behind in there. Just how heavy the wind gusts were here in Daytona Beach last night into this morning. I want to pan over to the pumps that used to be where you see those blue bars. Now it was swept off area, glass all over the ground, metal that is twisted and mangled around. We can see the ceiling inside of the gas station also very, very damaged. We were talking about this too, that last night we stayed on the barrier island that was under a mandatory evacuation, and just from our hotel room we could just hear the wind pounding. I mean, it was just really eerie. A sustained high winds throughout the night, even at 9:30 when we were talking to you guys, when the storm was 100 miles away. Wind gusts were reaching 70, 80 mile per hour gusts, and those high winds were sustained throughout the night, and we are seeing the debris here throughout Volusia County, also all over the roads. We've been driving around town today and we've had to be really, really careful because you can see boards in the road with nails, pieces of debris, anywhere from pieces of trees, branches, also pieces of the roof, shingles, things like that. I mean, it is all over out here. People have to be really careful if you are getting on the road, if you are returning to your home. Also, the thing here too is down power lines, down trees. And speaking of down trees, I know that we've been reporting this throughout the day. We did confirm now a second fatality here in Volusia County. There was one in Ormond Beach, another one in Port Orange. In both of those cases, it was because of down trees falling on people's homes and sadly dying from just the sustained high winds that we had in Volusia County last night into this morning. And you can still see it now. We still have those winds, and that is even when Milton is farther off of our coast now. So we'll continue to follow the conditions out here as, the recovery is just now beginning. We're going to toss it back to you guys, but reporting in Daytona Beach, Ashlyn Webb, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, and that's one of those things when we talk about big oak trees, you never know where they're going to fall. We talked about it earlier in the last report. And in this instance, they fell on a house. Maybe somebody was sleeping and they just, in the wrong spot of the home. Tom, as you can see, is back with us, and 87 mile per hour wind gust where Ashlyn was reporting, and that's that's an abandoned gas station. So we're going to see what else happened to homes and the coast.
Yeah, and I hate to say, you hate it when you know it, and we knew this was going to be just a huge catastrophe, and it was not a worst case scenario for the Tampa area, I will say, because they did not get that storm surge. It was about a 20-mile difference in the track that saved them. However, they had the complete different effect of having that heavy rain and flash flood emergency, and it's just a huge mess either way. So I hate to say it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. Over there, for us, I think this is equivalent to a lot of other hurricanes that we've tracked here.
This is pretty much what you forecast for us with the high waters, the high winds, this beach erosion, this damage. I mean, I do the checklist of the things our team said, and you guys check everything off.
Again, it was a huge, massive storm. It had a couple of fluctuations in its intensity and track and all that, but I think overall, a huge tip of the hat to the Hurricane Center and the Weather Prediction Center that sent out some of the heavy rain advisories that we pass along to you. And again, this not being our first rodeo, we worked very hard on all the county-by-county impacts. And yes, we had some updates here and there. Folks got a little frustrated with that, but it's a very stressful time, and we get it. Right now, you can see what's left of Milton. It is still a big wind machine, extra tropical right now, so it had cold air get mixed in. You may have noticed it's cooler today, so that expanded the wind field, which we're still feeling along the coast. It's now moving faster away. We're still getting wave action, though, coming in along our beaches. We're in high tide now. We're also moving wind into the St. Johns River up north, which is slowing down the river, and that's going to exacerbate, at least in the short term, the flooding that because the water's going in the river, and the river's now kind of backing up because of the winds that are still coming on shore. But anyway, what's left of Milton will race away. It will not come back this way. So some of the peak winds, Playa Linda Beach, Kennedy Space Center over 90 miles per hour, Daytona Beach 87, the International Airport also 87. It was just an incredibly windy machine, and we had hundreds of storm reports. And what we were talking about earlier, we had all kinds of reports over in the Tampa area that don't even show up on the map. So over 223 combined storm reports in our box, and we had a record number of tornado warnings that were issued, not total tornadoes. Some of these warnings are for the same long track tornado. We tracked several of them here. This is the second highest tornado warnings ever issued on a single day in the United States. And it goes back to a big tornado super outbreak we had a couple decades ago. So incredible. For the heavy rainfall, of course, it was well over 15 inches of rain, but I did want to show you the 7-day forecast. We have brighter days ahead. We're going to stay on the relatively fall side of this storm with temperatures in the 80s all the way into early next week. There's nothing brewing out in the tropics right now, but we are not finished with the hurricane season yet. So we're going to take about a week here, take a pause, and even get a stronger front perhaps on the way, and we'll have much more coming up in the next half hour.
Yeah, I was just looking. This is the 6th time that Florida has had 3 hurricanes hit in 1 year. Our state, 2004, we had 4, and let's hope we don't go to 4. I know. Let's just get through this right now.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Coming up here on Eyewitness News, we'll take you back to Polk County, where Channel 9 Shannon Butler is assessing damage there. We'll also have an update from Orlando Utilities about where they are with restoration right now.
It is now 3:19. It's become a ritual in Florida assessing damage after a natural disaster. This time, the natural disaster's name, of course, Hurricane Milton. We have 5 confirmed fatalities, 2 in the central Florida area so far, and we'll see if those numbers go up as people begin the repair and restoration. Typically, we do have some people who unfortunately get injured and even worse, so be careful.
Good evening and welcome back. I'm Darlene Jones. Look here, we're continuing to get video into our newsroom. There is a tree down and flooding. You can see here in Azalea Park. We received this from some of our county leaders. Wow, just significant flooding there in that area. Channel 9 Shannon Butler has also been monitoring flood conditions in Polk County. She joins us live this afternoon. Shannon, you were trying to track down some of the water rescues happening.
Yeah, the sheriff's office has already finished those water rescues, but here's where they were. This is called Shady Oak Drive, and you can see it is just a pool of water down there. And remember, the water has receded over the last few hours, but many of the homes back here had so much water in it that people couldn't get out. So the sheriff's office came out here to rescue those people from the water because they just can't get out. I mean, a lot of the folks here you can see are using these ATVs and buggies to try to get through this. This is actually a little bit better than it was a little while ago, where we couldn't have walked down here. We've been driving around this area of Lakeland. There is so much water that many of the cars can't get through. The semis are trying to get down some of these roads and are having some struggles, but most of the people here did ride it out last night here in Polk County. Polk County did take a really big beating last night, like many of our counties here. I'm going to see if I can get these kids on their ATV here. many of these counties took a beating. You can see really this is all about the flash flooding here. Hi, guys. Were you here last night?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what it was like.
It was scary. There was a lot of wind. A couple trees fell. That's pretty much it.
What happened here, though? Was this flash flooding, do you think, or was it the rain? What happened?
I think it was a flash flood. I think there's a bunch of rain that we didn't expect.
Did your house flood?
No, ma'am.
About your friend's house, did they flood?
Yes, his room is under, and all of our shops and four-wheelers, and they're all done.
All of your vehicles are underwater? Do you live back here?
I live that way.
You live that way? Did you see the sheriff's office here today?
Yeah, we saw Grady Judd and some of his sheriffs out here on a, looked like a mud buggy, and they came by and helped a bunch of people today.
They were taking your neighbors out of here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how high the water was on these houses? Did you see it earlier today, how far it went up?
It was about near, a little bit under the windows. It was really close. I know a bunch of people had to leave.
So those houses were taking on water?
Yes, ma'am.
So now what?
All we can really do is hope for the best, hope there's not another flood, and clean up.
And in the meantime, you're out here riding your four-wheeler?
Yeah, we're having fun.
The one that works, right? Without the water?
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I really, it is amazing what you see in these, hang on, let me let them pass. It's amazing what you see in these hurricanes, though. It is such an awful situation, but when you see a place like this where all of these neighbors are out checking on each other, you do really see the best of humanity after situations like this. We've seen it so many times in this area, and we're seeing it again today. There is a lot of water in Polk County. I know up there in Orlando, too. This area just going to take a while to dry out, guys.
Excellent report. It's all about the attitude. That's the only thing that any of us can control is our attitude. And to have a sunny disposition like they do in a situation where we had a dark cloud, that's awesome. We love that.
Yeah, you weren't here, but she was talking to a lady before who also was pretty positive about the fact that, you know, the water hadn't made it into her home. So we want to get you back out live to Governor Ron DeSantis, who is providing another update on where the storm is, where the state is with storm recovery right now.
Yeah, the camera's a little fogged over.
No impacts from the storm, and should be able to resume operations very quickly. If you want to look to see what your school district's plans are, you can go to fldoe.org/storm info. Now, please remember, as you survey damage and you clean up, be cautious of any downed power lines. They can be deadly. Do not touch them, and stay away from any debris that may be tangled within the power lines. Be careful of standing water. You know, we see even in Siesta Key, I was able to sue. I mean, there's some. It's gone down, but there is some. There's going to be some inland flooding. Just be very careful when you're talking about standing water. There could be power lines down in there. There could be other hazards, and that could cause major problems. Be careful when you use ladders. We always have injuries and sometimes even fatalities based on the use of ladders. We've got a lot of elderly residents. We have different groups that will be in Florida that will help you with some of these things. These charity groups, these church groups, they go in to help people with their homes and help clean up debris. So utilize that. Don't put yourself at risk. If you operate a generator, do not operate your generator inside your home. It must be operated outside your home. We still have Visit Florida's emergency accommodation modules on Expedia and Priceline available if people need temporary shelter. For another 2 weeks, we have extended the Hope Florida line. So that's going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you need help or you need some resources, like maybe a helping hand with some things around your house or maybe some things with some supplies, you know, we've got all these organizations that come to help in the subsequent to these storms. They're all plugged into Hope Florida. So you can call 1-833-GET-HOPE, 1-833-GET-HOPE, and Activate Hope is the disaster arm for Hope Florida, and that is up and running. We also have small business loans available. So we have $50 million. It's interest-free. very forgiving payment options. So if you need cash as a business, you can apply for up to $50,000. If you're agriculture and aquaculture, you have up to $100,000, and if you're citrus and cattle, you have up to $150,000. So please take advantage if you want. If you want to apply for that, you go to floridajobs.org/EBL. We also are accepting donations for the Florida Disaster Fund. This is a charitable, tax-deductible donation. 100% of the proceeds go to helping victims of both Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And so if you want to do that, you can go to floridadisasterfund.org, floridadisasterfund.org. I want to thank everybody who's worked really hard. We're still assessing the damage from this storm. I mean, I think clearly just going around that there was damage from it. I think in some areas, in terms of what was being predicted, some of the worst case scenarios did not come to pass, certainly in terms of some of the storm surge. People were predicting perhaps in the Tampa Bay area. The storm did weaken as it made landfall. And so whereas it was churning ferociously off the Yucatan Peninsula, by the time it made it to the coast of Florida, those winds were a little bit tamer. Still enough to do a lot of damage, but in terms of our assessments and being able to bounce back, I feel confident we're going to do that as a state. This power restoration effort is underway by all the major utilities. They've had the people ready, and they know that this is something that's really important. So you've got a lot of people working on that. We're very confident on reopening the ports like Tampa to make sure that fuel is continuing to flow. We have a lot of fuel in reserve in the state if we need to fill any gaps. But I'm confident we're going to be able to have an adequate amount of fuel delivered to the gas stations one way or another. If we need to use Florida Highway Patrol to help rush the trucks there, then we'll do that. But we should be in pretty good shape as far as that goes. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved. And we'll be putting out information about things like points of distribution for food and water. We're taking some of those inputs from some of the counties. I mean, some people said before the storm they wanted pods. Maybe they don't need pods now, depending on what damage. But we do anticipate when the counties are ready, rolling out some of the pods and providing some of the resources in terms of food, water, and other supplies like tarps for people as they may need it. So, okay, Kevin Guthrie.
We lost the audio there with Kevin Guthrie. We're monitoring that in the newsroom, and whatever he has to say that is pertinent to Central Florida, we can certainly turn that back around.
Certainly the governor, though, still trying to give an optimistic narrative in terms of where we could have been had some of the storm surge and some of the other things happen there, specifically along the Tampa Bay area. But he continues to make his way around the state to assess the damage. And so once we get the audio issues repaired there, we will sort through that. We do want to get you to Michelle Lynch, the communications director for Orlando Utilities Commission, the primary utility for the metro area of Orlando. She's live with us here on the phone. Michelle, Darlene Jones here along with Greg Warmoth. Thank you for being here with us. Just looking on your outage map, it looks like you all have quite a bit of work to do out there in terms of restoration and repairs. Can you walk us through where you all are right now?
Yeah, right now we have about 54,542 customers still out of those. 79 the rest of the we've had crews, safety assessors to monitor the conditions that our crews are working. They are right now to restore power to all of our customers.
So we're having a little bit of difficulty hearing you. There may be a bad connection there with your phone, or maybe in an area where you have a bad cell phone connection. Can you try to move around a little bit? I think I heard you say you had about 54,000 customers without power, and those are customers, not people. But you all are out there actively working with crews who have come here to the Central Florida area to help.
Correct.
I think we're going to have have to try to reestablish connection there, Greg, maybe in a bad area there. And so we will get back with Michelle Lynch with OUC as soon as we can. But we do know that they had crews staged on the outer lying areas to try to get that power restored quickly.
Yeah, and we've gotten some, obviously, lots of reports. You mentioned 54,000 customers there in the state of Florida. The governor said 3 million homes and businesses. But I've already heard from people who are like, we were out, overnight, but we're already back on. So that process of getting the lights back on is fast and furious. And when you have 50,000 electrical line workers that are sent to a state that does not get its worst case scenario in terms of getting your power back on or getting your air conditioning, which some people think is super important. Of course it is. It should happen quicker than maybe we fear.
And it helps because those linemen and women were already staged here in the state of Florida and surrounding areas. And so a little bit of patience, maybe get the kids on some games or board games, maybe have a little bit of family time until your power gets restored.
Hey, there's always a good book. All right, we're going to come right back. Be creative as we do this. And again, as I don't know if it was my mom or my dad, but boy, they used to drill into us. There is only one thing you can control in this entire world, and it's your attitude. So we're going to have a good. All right, as Hurricane Milton begins to we start to see what the impacts are. We're really seeing some of these images that are coming into us. This is from Stewart, and this is an example of a mobile or manufactured home. And many of these, we don't know if somebody was there or if they were injured, but what we can tell you is that, for all of the impact zones of this hurricane, folks were encouraged if they were in a home that was not solidly built after the year 2004 that they may want to seek shelter. So again, there's somebody that is picking up the pieces there in Stewart. What pieces are left or finding some belongings. The roof again gone, the walls caved in. We do not know if anybody was home, but if somebody was, that would have been a tough ride for sure. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Warmoth.
And I'm Darlene Jones. You're watching our coverage now as we look at the aftermath of Hurricane Milton and the damage and destruction and really some of the flooding that has happened here along our area, not just here in Central Florida, but in other parts of the state. Of course, Siesta Key is where Hurricane Milton made landfall last night. We'll need some time to dry out. You can take a look at some of these photos and videos that we're getting into our newsroom, and people just kind of trying to let things air out as best they can. And we don't know if that maybe furniture floated there on the road or if maybe they sat that out to try to dry it out in the sun. But Milton tracked to the south in the final hours and made landfall as a Category 3 storm there. Here again, you can see some of the flooding there down in Siesta Key. Damage is widespread, but could have been much worse.
Yeah, imagine that. All of a sudden you wake up and you now are the eye of the storm, and that's where it came ashore. And this is video from Fort Pierce. This is just south of Vero Beach. This is on the East Coast. And Hurricane Milton ripped a truck apart, but I don't believe this is from our hurricane. I believe that what you're looking at here from Fort Pierce is likely damage from a tornado, because on the Atlantic side, the damage that we saw in terms of wind damage like this, if you see this either on your social media feeds or whatever, and a truck is flipped over, this is not from the hurricane. This is definitely a tornado. The Atlantic part of our southern viewing area, Fort Pierce, Vero Beach, of course down in Miami they had it. We had it in Cocoa Beach as well. There were so many tornadoes. The tornadic activity was record-breaking in terms of how many warnings we had. In fact, second all-time in Florida. And then this impact from the tornadoes, just a horrific, horrific story to tell.
The St. Lucie County Sheriff reporting at least 5 deaths there. And he said earlier today that he believed, Tom, those were linked to the tornadic activity. And
absolutely. Yeah, we saw some incredible video that I think was that big tornado that hit a large building there in Port St. Lucie or in that area. And it's just incredible to see the power of nature in all of its forms, whether it's a big hurricane or the smaller tornadoes that the hurricane spawned. And here's we're still getting a lot of wave action. This is coming in from Daytona Beach right now. We're just lit past high tide. All of our flags, nearly all of them, all ripped to shreds as we expected. Wind gusts over 85 to 87 miles an hour. Still breezy out there. There's still a large wind field around this hurricane that's now no longer a tropical system. It's what we call extratropical or non-tropical subtropical, if you will, moving away, but a couple of sprinkles still along the coast here, and we're going to continue to keep an eye on the wave action from this storm as it moves away. There it is, scooting ever faster away, and we're still bringing the surge in along the beach here. That will start to abate, and we're going to have a whole slew of kind of choppy surf, high surf advisory still in effect. Rip current threat will be around really all the way into next week after the sandbars have had the damage they've had from the wave action. And there you see the last little bit of Milton, which we're moving away. A couple other rainfall totals. We were over 15 inches. In parts of the area. Oviedo 13, Lake Mary 12. These are just a little bit under in some locations what we had with Ian 2 years ago, which was around 16 to 18 inches of rain locally. However, for Lake Harney, Sanford, DeLand, and Astor, you see the color scheme here. Astor already in purple. That is going to be at major flood, and it continues to rise all weekend. So this is a problem now. DeLand, you are going to be at major flood. So all of these dots here by the weekend are all going to be purple. So we're all headed up to that major flood. And we're going to just see how high the river crests. It's going to be probably not record, but it's going to cause a lot of problems. And again, the St. Johns will slowly recede. It will be weeks before floodwaters in some areas will start to go down. But we are at least trying to do our best to bring you some nicer weather for the recovery. Perhaps you don't have power. We talked about this before and during the storm. We would have some nice weather following this. Over in the Melbourne area tomorrow, temperatures hovering in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. Altamont Springs, a little breeze, but overall very pleasant, and temperatures back in the lower 80s there. As far as any additional rain, maybe a shower or two along the far western edges of our now ex-tropical system, and still the onshore wind, and that's going to keep the high surf advisory around, but we have a pretty good stretch of weather heading toward the upcoming weekend, as we should be right around 86, 87 degrees. We'll be warming up gradually a little bit, but overnight lows very fall-like back in the 60s. In fact, we could get a stronger front arriving toward Wednesday into Thursday. We're also going to be updating the tropics. There have been a lot of pictures I've seen on social media. People have been asking me, friends have been sending me pictures, all kinds of crazy stuff about Nadine. The next named storm is heading our way. We don't have that in the outlook, but we are not finished with the hurricane season yet. So we'll kind of clarify all of that and give you the straight skinny coming up. Greg?
Yeah, I think check the source. TikTok is not necessarily the best source for reliable information. It's about clicks and followers, and if you get 1,000 followers, you get to have a live stream. All these other things are going on there, so just be careful. I know it's easy to scroll, but typically it's wrong. All right, now the big question everyone has is, when will the power come back on at your place?
Back here with us this afternoon is Michelle Lynch from OUC to talk about that. And Michelle, we lost you earlier, but we did hear you talk about, I guess, about 54,000 customers still without power, but at one point you had more than 80,000, so you all are making some progress out there.
Yes, absolutely. We have had our safety assessors and our crews out, including OUC crews and crews from out of state through mutual aid, out in St. Cloud and throughout the city of Orlando and Orange County, trying to get people back into power. They've gone out to see, what is going on, how much damage there is. We're actually flying our drones to look at areas where we might not be able to get trucks into, but our goal is to get everyone back into power, as quickly as possible, but safely as possible. So that is what we're doing, and our assessors are spending the next couple of days determining a system-wide estimated time of restoration. We first focus on getting power back to our critical services, such as hospitals, wastewater treatment facilities, fire, police stations, and then other emergency locations. And then we start making repairs to restore the most customers possible in the most efficient manner.
There is a pecking order, right, Michelle, in terms of the way, I know you want to do the most possible, but there's also, hospitals, law enforcement, people with special needs. There is a pecking order here. Is that right or wrong?
Correct. The first places we start restoring power are with those with critical services. So your hospitals, your wastewater treatment plants, your fire and police stations, and then any other emergency location. And if there is someone who has medical equipment we need to ask them to go to a shelter, and if that's not possible, they need to go to a hospital. But our crews are out there. They are battling the elements, so going through a lot of downed trees, going through some flooded areas. We want to make sure that we keep them safe so they can get everyone back into power.
Thank you so much. I know you all are still trying to assess, but can you give any estimate? Are we talking another few days? Are we talking maybe another week before everyone is fully restored?
Yeah, that's hard to say, but they are out there working as quickly as they can, so might have a better idea in the next 24 to 48 hours. But again, we've gone down from 88,000 out of power at the height of the storm down to 54,000, so we are making progress.
That is excellent. And the electrical line workers, the linemen, they are heroes here. So as you see them, maybe take out water to those crews who are away from their family, many of them hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. Thank you, Michelle, and we appreciate that. We'll look forward to an update. And I do know of people who have already had their power back on, which seems, you know, you lose it last night, you're thinking, uh-oh, here we go. And you wake up this morning and your lights are back on. So
it helps to be on a hospital grid for some people, too.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the case or not, but I know they're working as hard and safely as they can. Again, give them a pat on the back, a shake of the hand, and some water. If you see them in your neighborhood, they're like, when you see them, it's like, oh, here they come. Here come the heroes. All right, quick break right now, 3:46 as we continue with the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. I'll be back with Darlene Jones and Tom Terry after this quick break. All of our government agencies and law enforcement have done a great job. I'm Greg Wormuth along with Darlene Jones at having these news conferences before the storm and now after the storm to kind of let us know where we stand.
Yeah, a lot of people have questions and they have the answers. At least we hope. Orange County leaders are talking right now about the aftermath. Let's listen in to Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings.
Emergency Operations Center with us. We've had the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and several other state agencies that have been right here with us. I do appreciate all of the work that they have been doing and supporting this effort. The tropical storm warning was dropped at 11 this morning, but we're still under a wind advisory until 8 p.m. tonight. And Orange County remains under a flood watch for standing water. Over the past few days, 42 tornado warnings were issued in Central Florida with several confirmed touchdowns. We will not know about the extent of the damage until we have the opportunity to go out and further investigate. However, we do know, again, that approximately 600 properties were damaged. In the Ocoee area, Winter Garden area, there are reports of up to 12 inches of rain. I'm going to have our Emergency Operations Center Deputy Director, Carlos Durden, come up in just a few moments, and he'll share with you some of the details about the impacts that we saw countywide. But this was both a rain and a wind phenomenon for us, and he'll get into those details. But as we move forward, our Emergency Operations Center continues to work 24/7 to ensure that our resources are being marshaled in an appropriate way. In terms of our shelters were certainly used by our residents. We served a total of 325 persons in special needs. Those individuals were in our shelters. I had the opportunity this morning to visit the shelter at Goldenrod. I saw people of various ages and affirmatives who really needed help. It warmed my heart to see our county staff members, our medical personnel, our nurses, and others who were there caring for these individuals within our community. Shortly before noon, our health services crews began checking on the homes of those clients to see if those who registered with us as people with special needs, if they were okay. Lynx is taking individuals who were at our shelters for people with special needs. They're beginning to take them back to their homes and other places. We are in the process now of closing special needs shelters with the exception of the one at the Silver Star recreation center, which will remain open tonight. Many of those who stayed at our general population shelters have already returned to their homes. At the height of the storm, there were over 1,300 people in our shelters, and as of midday today, that number had declined to 369. We closed our Wedgefield shelter earlier today. An additional 9 of the 11 general population shelters that we opened will close tonight at 5 p.m. The general population shelters at Apopka High School and Oak Ridge High School will remain open until tomorrow for those who still need shelter. Orange County government is here to take care of our citizens. Due to the storm, however, we closed Orange County government for normal operations, but we expect to reopen for normal businesses after Friday. We will be closed tomorrow on Friday for normal business. In addition to Orange County, the Chief Judge of the 9th Judicial Circuit, Chief Judge Lisa Munyon, announced that the circuit courts within Orange and Osceola County will be closed for today and Friday. We are continuing to use our building safety experts to go out and do assessments of the damage across Orange County. The teams are made up of licensed building and electrical inspectors who will determine if the building is safe to inhabit or if it needs repairs. Public Works continues to work throughout our community, addressing the flooding issues and other issues. We have a number of traffic signals that are out. We have a number of pump stations that are on generator power. They're working to restore all of that over time. In the next few days, as you watch what happens within our community, you're going to continue seeing some flooding, some localized flooding, because as the water moves around, you're going to see some of the retention ponds and other areas. You're going to continue to see water rising within our community. So we still have a lot of work to do from a public works perspective to take care of all of that. There are some amount of flooding reported along the Reams Road area near the Floridian Way, as well as at the intersection of Reams Road, Paquette Road, and Summer Lake Park Boulevard. We will start a pumping operation in the next few hours, and we will be setting up barricades and related traffic control.
All right, you've been listening in live to Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings providing an update on where Orange County is in terms of trying to really get back to a sense of normalcy as we all work to recover from Hurricane Milton.
We'll be right back, and we're going to be straight up at 4 o'clock. We'll give you everything that's happening, including a Volusia County press conference. And Volusia just absolutely took a beating last night by Milton's aftermath, Milton's fury. We'll have more on the aftermath just ahead.